Wait a minute.
Y'all crazy bitch. You gotta fight. A brown-eyed girl.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Thank God Cancer Saved Our Divorce. This is a unique week. That kind of rhymes. I say this a lot, it being a unique week, but this week is particularly true for that statement. This week, I'm in the Every Joke Has a Little Truth studio by myself. I wasn't. We had one of our very favorite guests on, Deborah Hanlon. You may remember her from a couple of times she's been on the show. She's a medium. She's had some incredible moments on and off our podcast with us, which you'll hear about here in a little bit. But we had an interview with her scheduled, and last week we kind of we missed each other, and so we had to put it together for this week. And this interview, it's really not an interview, it's a conversation. And this conversation rolled over the 2-hour mark and could have went 4 if we would have let it. And that's what happens when you just really connect with your guest. And I'll tell you, with Deborah, we really do feel a strong connection with her. And it just really, it makes it so easy to just keep talking. And in this one, Jamie's not feeling well, so she's kind of quiet, but she wasn't going to miss it for the world. Braden had some, it was his first time actually meeting Deborah, so his mind was blown. So he was trying to kind of work through that. And Amanda's like, hey, I got Deborah here. I'm going to get some shit answered. So it was really a great conversation. So that's all you're getting on this Monday. There won't be any football update. I'm sorry if your relationship is about to fall apart and you just need our advice. You're going to have to wait a couple more days before we do relationship advice with Ams and Jams. What we love and what we hate, we'll talk about that. You're going to get, okay, not everyone's going to believe me when I say this. You're going to get a midweek podcast. As a matter of fact, we're going to try and go with a midweek TikTok. Live is what we're going to try and do, and record a little bonus edition, which gives you, the update on football as well as Ams and Jams and those type things. So look for those. I'll try and get that information out on Facebook. What do they call it now? X instead of Twitter. What do the kids say these days? I don't know. Get off my lawn, please. Anyway, go to listen to this episode. But in the meantime, I want you to go to DeborahHanlon.com. She's also the author of In the Presence of Proof. She is really, really great. As a matter of fact, Amanda and Jamie I haven't even had a chance to talk to Amanda yet, specifically about the meditation. She was part of that. She was part of that event that Deborah puts on each week. And we went ahead and joined that this week. So I'm curious to see what that was like and, what she got from that. So we'll talk about that on a later, probably next week. You'll hear more about that experience. But really, for now, you're just getting a 2-hour conversation between us here in the Every Joke Has a Little Truth studio and Deborah Hanlon from her perch there in New York. So really sit back and enjoy the show. And we'll catch up in a midweek episode where you get the other fun stuff that we do. But the real reason we do this podcast, well, you're going to listen to it. It's great guests, and there's none better than Deborah Hanlon. Have a listen.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again.
And now, on with the show.
Who would like to bring her in this week?
Not me.
It's your
I
turn.
don't think I
You
should.
always make fun of how I do it.
I know. We're going to try to
do it like, okay, and it's Deborah.
Take it away, Denny.
Here, I'll
Do it just like that.
I'll do it. Here we go. Okay, I screwed it up already.
Yeah, because you didn't even play the applause.
Well, I do the applause later.
Oh, yeah.
After the introduction.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm
All right, here we go. So everybody ready? Places everyone.
Waiting on you.
On the line with us this week, I was just talking about it. You'll never hear it because I promised to get rid of it. But on the line with us this week is a Mount Rushmore of ours. I said that. It is a very fun guest that we've learned so much from. On the line for the third time in our existence, it's our very good friend, Deborah Hanlon. Author of In the Presence of Proof. Welcome back, Deborah.
Well, thank you for having me back. Jamie, I hope you're going to be all right.
Yeah, Jamie's really struggling. And she's pointing at me to mute real quick. She's like, mute.
Yeah.
But I can't,
then he
I
doesn't
can't move
do
that
it.
fast. I'm not that good. Welcome back, Deborah. How are you doing today?
Excellent. I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is one of my favorite podcasts to be on because you seriously do ask the best questions.
Yeah, okay.
In the range, too. It's the spectrum. It's not all like business. It's all silly, too. Like, it's a whole spectrum. So the whole range of your questions are great.
Who would you say is the best question asker?
Me.
I'm not going to go there.
It's always
You think you're going to
She's
catch a
smarter
medium
than
with that kind of question?
All right.
Come on. You're young. You have to work that question in and sneak it in there.
Were
That's
you
how
on
you
the
get
last one with her?
I asked her a question about a mirror. She said, great question. The best question of the podcast.
She didn't mean it. So it's funny you mentioned that because I take a lot of pride in the questions that we ask, not being, I like our questions to be more conversational and less, what's it like being a media? That stuff is overplayed. And you are the first one that sticks in my mind. I still remember looking at you as I can't even remember the question, but you looked up and you said, that is a great question. I have never been asked that. And oddly enough, I take a lot of pride in the fact that you said that. So I'm not a professional at this by any means. So when you said that, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty proud of that.
You know what? I'm a professional.
Damn it.
We're very professional.
So,
That's right.
yeah. So at the beginning of the interview, when I introduced you, Jamie about fell over coughing to death. Jamie is not feeling 100%, but she wasn't going to miss this for anything.
No.
And
Thank you.
yourself have not had the best of times over the last little bit. Tell us what you've been through. You had a little car accident?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, like, I can't even complain about it because without going into details for legal purposes, but it was totally my fault. It was completely my fault. Thank God no one's hurt. Thank God I didn't hit anybody else. But my car veered off the road and I overcorrected and I hit a fairly high curb perfectly to where I destroyed the suspension in the front of my car and along the side, something else.
It was a single car accident then?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just did that yesterday.
That is not, you're not in
What?
good company, Deborah. You're not in good company
You
with
wrecked
that.
again?
Well, I didn't do I popped a tire. Caleb had to go get a new tire, but
What did you hit?
A curb. You two are one and the same.
You know, thank
happens.
Doesn't happen.
well,
It doesn't.
it shouldn't have, let's put it that way, but we'll move past that portion.
Quickly.
But quickly. But what was interesting, that the cop that showed up was, first of all, I felt like he could be my son. He felt like such a baby. I don't know how old he was, but I was like, oh my God, you could be my son. Absolutely adorable, wonderful. And he asked me what I did for a living, like while we're waiting for the tow truck and everything. Now, I very rarely tell people what I do for a living just because it's just, I meet two types of people in that situation, people who totally believe and they're like, oh my God, could you do a reading right now? Or people who are like, you're going to hell for that. So there's like no in between.
You've been told that?
Oh God, yeah. I wrote about it in my book about like the top moment where someone told me I was going to hell. She was a nurse in a doctor's office. And yeah, it was, and she was about to give me a cortisone injection in my foot, like 20. So I then proceed to tell like people, and I'm generalizing, but typically I have found that police officers and detectives are very much in one camp or the other. We totally love mediums and we'll use them, or that's all garbage.
Nonsense.
Totally. So on the side of the road, an accident, you know, no one's hurt, it's fine. We have nothing but time, traffic going by. He asks me what I do, and I hear myself, almost like I left my body, I hear myself tell him what I do. And there was a part of me that was like,
don't do it.
In slow motion, you're saying, no.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like, okay, could we just get a tow truck? Like, why are you complicating the situation right now, Deborah? Well, he was adorable. And he was like, a medium, I could use one of those. Could you help me solve crimes? And I was like, maybe that is why I got into that accident. Maybe I am supposed to work with this person, and there could have been a better way the universe arranged for me to meet him, but maybe not. So I haven't heard from him. So it's not like we're like buddy buddies. That's all happened a week ago. But in the moment I was trying to justify, why would you even say that to him, especially right now?
Yeah, especially if you like felt yourself saying it without really intending to say it.
Yeah.
So maybe there's important work to be done.
I usually tell people like, oh, I teach meditation, I teach consciousness. Oh, I kind of gloss over it because I just don't want to get into it most of the time.
Sure. Well, it must be frustrating for you to be out, and every time someone asks you a question, you're trying to read the room. Am I going to be judged based on my answer?
Yeah.
And at some point, I guess we'll get to a point where we don't give a shit what they think. You know what I mean? So you just roll right through it. And I'm sure you've been there. But it's still human nature to worry.
You just don't want to deal with the fight. You don't want to deal with like the nagging of whatever their opinion of you is.
Because you don't care about their opinion at all, much more than that very moment. But I do want to go back because that was an unintended consequence, or unintended meaning you have this accident, you call this police. I didn't know that part of the story. I knew you had the accident. So
you're going to be solving crimes.
I think this goes to intuition. I think that is that fair to say? I mean, you're shaking your head. Yes, I got to believe that in your line of work, you're like, holy shit, here it is again, right in front of me.
100%. And I remember because I was like, I was out of body and I was like, why I'm on the side of the road, traffic's building up. Not a good time to talk about this. It's totally not. And then he brings me over to his car and he's like, I was like, do you need my license or anything? And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to look you up, but I just want your website. I just want your email. I was like, okay, this is good. This is a positive direction. So yeah, I mean, who knows? And going back, I don't tell people also, I don't want to hear one way or the other from their opinion, but also something super frustrating to me as a medium is that it is so misunderstood. And Hollywood does not do a good job at all of educating us on what it really is. And it drives me crazy because this is a part of being human. My philosophy is mediumship is a part of being human. We have 5 physical senses. And then we have many other non-physical senses. That I don't think is debatable, even in science. Mediumship is one of those other forms of those other senses. So to me, it's like, it's not about ghost hunting. It's not about the paranormal. It's not about evil spirits and the creep factor. It's about our truest nature and really being open up to like, wow, we have this physical life, but then there's a whole other layer to us, this energetic self. And that part of us is the most powerful part. So it's more frustrating of like, oh my God, people's perceptions are completely based off of garbage that's hundreds of years old, that's not even been updated. And I get frustrated because I'm going to be the one they look down on if they don't believe like, oh, she's weird. And I'm like, oh my God, I think you're just so lame for not even considering this to be a thing. So it's more for that reason where I'm like, No, actually, this is wild. And if people really opened up to it, they would be astonished what they're capable of.
What they might be missing. And welcome to closed-minded university, right? Where people just live their life in their bubble, and because you are something different, or you might believe differently than they do, well, you must be wrong and I'm right. And to be fair, I have some of that in me. We all have.
We all do.
Yeah.
You had. Yeah. She took all that away. She made you a believer, dude.
Well, I'm not even talking
not
about
just this, just in general, like everything.
I've got some of that, that can't be possible. Get out of my face. You know what I mean? And I've always kind of believed in what you do. I've always kind of believed that there was a connection to the other side. I just didn't realize how prevalent it was until I met you. And then, as I've talked about on the other episodes, when you actually pinpointed something very close, you made me a big time believer. So,
it's awesome.
Do you know of any big police cases that have been broken by a medium?
There's been. There was one recently.
Was there really?
Yeah, they correct me, school me if I'm wrong, please. But there was this medium pinpointed where somebody was buried.
Wow.
Really?
Yep.
They pinpointed right where they were buried.
And you,
I documentary on my website, on my YouTube channel, where I located a young boy that was abducted and sadly killed.
I believe that's what it is.
Wait a minute. You did?
Yep.
Okay.
Deborah. Okay.
Why
Stop
have
the
we
show.
never talked about this?
Tell me this story. I've got to hear this story.
It is a pretty wild story. So there was a little boy. He was about 3 or 4 years old, and he was local to where I live in New York. And I heard on the radio that morning, there's a an Amber Alert for this young boy in this area. And instantly I knew, just hearing the Amber Alert, I'm like, oof, he passed. He's not here. And then I could feel him really strong. This is just a radio announcement. I know nothing. Yes, it's in my town, but I don't know the family. I'm not close, nothing. And I knew he passed. I'm like, oh my God, okay. I can't believe in this moment I'm blanking on his name, but it'll come to me. It's upsetting that it's blanking on me. But basically I'm like, I can feel him, and I'm telling him, listen, I can't contact police. They're not going to believe me, and they've got more work. And I don't discredit police for not believing. If they called up and entertained every person that said they were psychic, whatever. So I 1000% respect law enforcement. They can't do that, and they don't know who they have. So I said to this little boy, listen, if I can be of any help to you, you have to have them call me. This is what I'm saying to this little boy. I said, you have to make this happen, because I'm not going to call them. And I am not kidding you. An hour later, I get a phone call. And there is an old friend of mine who is an attorney who was somehow put on this case. I don't remember how. And he's like, Deb, I need your help. This little boy's gone. And I said, Mike, I have him. I know exactly. I didn't know exactly where he was, but I'm like, I know he's passed, but let's do it. Let's go. So I meet with the mother, and I'm walking around their house, and I am knowing, oh my God, this little boy's passed. But I didn't tell her yet because, didn't want to say that. But I'm just trying to get a little information, as far as I'll say to her, I don't remember all of it, but I do remember saying, and this is in the documentary, did he carry around a little monkey? I see a little monkey, and she, a little stuffed animal monkey. And she was like, yeah. And she's looking around, and she couldn't find the monkey. And I'm like, okay, I know I have him. There's a bunch of things. I knew exactly who did this to him. And then the cool part of the story is that at the time I was married, and I thought I could see clearly where he was, but I didn't know where that was. I could see a row of graffitied garages, and I could see a clearing. I could see a house, and I don't remember what else, but I could see it clearly in my mind. So I'm like, all I have to do is drive around to try to find that place. But then I thought, oh God, I'm driving around. They put me with a cop and they drove me around to try to see. And I'm like, this isn't working because there's a million of these places that looked like what I saw. So later that evening, I tell my ex-husband, we get in the car, blindfolds me. I said, drive far away, drive far, far away from our town. And I want to see if I can lead you back to a spot that looks like this, completely blindfolded, because I was going to do it by just feeling alone because my analytical mind was getting in the way. Mm-hmm. So we did that and we end up in a spot right in front of a row of garages. And I'm like, okay, cool. I said, let's do it again. We wind up doing it 3 times. And and he would drive like 40 minutes away. Like it wasn't like he went a couple blocks.
You spent all evening driving.
All evening doing this because I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is pretty wild. All 3 times I went within a block of that location. So, okay. So we tell the cops, we get the cops, he's like, all right, let's go. Let's walk this property. And it was wintertime, it was December, and it was tons of snow on the ground. And we're walking and I'm like, it's here, somewhere here. We find the monkey on the ground.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I get total chills.
Oh, I just did.
And then we didn't find him there. They kept asking, and it's something I still regret to this day. They're saying, did you want a dog, like a cadaver dog or a dog to help? And at the time, I was so unsure of myself that I didn't want to bother. Like, well, I don't know, I could be wrong, because I do have an air of like doubt, which I think is pretty helpful and healthy. So I didn't want to like bother the canine unit. And I didn't, because I wasn't like, oh, I know this is really weird, but I don't know. So I wish I had gotten the dog, because I bet you the dog would have found him. It was months later when the snow thawed that we were literally walking right on top.
Oh, really?
Did you say you knew who did it?
Literally right there. Yes. Yes.
How did you determine who did it? How
does that work?
That was nuts. That was totally insane. They had suspected somebody, and when I went into the house, I could feel, I'm just trying to think of how many details I can give, but I could feel like, okay, it was somebody who lived in their house.
I was going to ask. I was going to like close family friend or something.
Yeah, it totally was. So, and then he was arrested and he is in jail for it. And
convicted? Did you have any part in that?
Nope. They had what they.
Yeah, if they have what they need.
I believe he was jailed even before he was found. I could be mistaken. I want to say this was back in 2008, 2009, somewhere in there.
That is incredible.
And like you said, you have confidence. I mean, you were working on your own confidence, but you still don't have enough confidence to walk in and say, hey, I've got bad news. I'm sorry about your son. Mm-hmm. Because right now that parent still has hope, and you don't want to dash that and then find out you are wrong. So that must have been a horrible position for you to be in. And, I can't, as you're telling me that part of the story, I can't fathom walking through someone's house while they're, looking for their child.
Yeah. And you know
that, and you know what you know
with you energy-wise.
And you can't share that, or, and I think that was the smart thing, is to not share that, because I'd
probably fight somebody. Yeah. Even knowing you and understanding the connection, if someone came in and said, no, this is what's happened, I'm probably going to fight you.
Yeah. Well, because you're looking for, you want the proof.
Yeah.
And they didn't know you before this happened, right? So.
Right. Exactly. So it is a really hard thing, because I have to, I feel that a good intuitive always has a level of self-doubt. Now that doesn't meaning like I'm willing to be wrong. Like, I don't have to be right. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be right, because of course that's the nature of the whatever, but it's really important as far as like a sane human to realize, okay, I was wrong on that one. I was totally wrong. So you have to be careful with like self-discernment, because I do think it's really possible to get a really big ego on being right about really bad things, so it's a very weird feeling there where you so much want to be right. But then I'm like, why do I want to be right over the fact this little boy passed? Like, I don't want to be right.
Yeah.
I hope to God I'm so wrong. I hope I'm so off on this.
Yep.
So there is that weird space to be in. And I think it's important to keep self-check on that.
That's an amazing story, Deborah. I cannot believe I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And
So-
maybe I did and I've forgotten, but oh my goodness, go.
So I wanted to know, like, so the imagery and stuff that you're getting, like you talked about, you drove out of the city and you just used intuition to find your way back. But were you seeing it because it's what he saw? Like, was he showing you kind of pictures and like what his vision of it, and that's why you couldn't really pinpoint to begin with?
Like, I think
Another
she's
good
asking, are you
question.
looking through his eyes? And I think that's a great question.
That is a fantastic question. I don't totally recall that specific incident. I don't think so. I think it was more of a generic. Sometimes when I don't know who's telling me what, I'm like, the ether is telling me. I'm getting this from the ether. Like, I don't know where it's coming from. And it feels like, from my memory of the moment now, it feels like it was more from the ether than him. Okay. There were specific things like the monkey, and there was a baseball cap he always wore, and a couple of details about like what happened and when and how and the timeline that came from him. But the visual of the place, of where the location, I don't feel like that was him. It felt more zoomed out, if you will.
Yeah. So that's really what I was wondering. Cause like as a child, to have kind of awareness of that and how far it went, you know what I'm saying? Like, for them to be able to pass on that, I would hope that they wouldn't be able to. I don't want them to know that. And so that's,
you don't want the victim to know.
Yeah. Especially in the case of a child.
So that's a great question. Something I've never thought about. So that's two great questions for you.
We're due for a shit one.
Well,
we're due for a shit
here
one.
it comes. Don't worry. So if does that happen, the person on the other side that you're communicating with, do they know and feel the details of their demise?
Yes, they do. And they're no longer attached to them. So as a human hearing that, that's like, oh God, that's the worst thing to hear. Mm-hmm. But it's because we're hearing that and understanding that through the human lens of, we can't imagine what it must be like to feel ourselves being a victim of any sort of crime. But there's a disconnection. So they know, like, hey, that's not me. My real me is the essence, the part of us that never dies. So when we pass, we become clear, like, oh, wow, that was the me I knew as a human, but they're not reliving it and experiencing it as we think it is, because we're thinking about it in a human lens. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And we've kind of talked about this in the past, like, you know, I'll go 12-year-old, like Braden treating his body like an amusement park when he was 12 years old, with his grandmother standing in the bedroom watching.
Hey!
Why are you pretending it was Braden?
I don't need it from you either.
We all know.
I think she's coming after me. I don't think she's not after you.
You're not
she's,
after me
she's
too?
Flipping.
No. She was also watching your proclivities.
Do you know who Graham Hancock is? I don't care about his question. Do you know who Graham Hancock is?
I do not. I don't think I do.
That's upsetting.
Well, who is it?
I'm so terrible with like pop culture and names and TV. I just don't watch it.
He's an author and a bestseller of. He's got documentaries too, like the Handprints of the Gods and whatnot. And he kind of goes into the same realm, not the same realm, but he's a historian and all this stuff. And people are mad at him. Some people are mad at him about his beliefs and whatnot too. Kind of like how they are with you. And I was just wondering if you've ever heard of him, but I'm probably going to shut up for like 15 minutes now.
There's our
the
shit
stupid
question.
Dude, I had that one loaded.
No, I think I think the other question was definitely dumber.
Oh, yes. I had that one ready to go for like 15 minutes.
So I want you guys to know, Deborah has put me on this giant pedestal with myself, and now I'm going to go cry in the basement when we're done with this interview. I can tell you that right now.
You know, you should just start crying now.
I know, right? So
back to me treating, what'd you say? Treating my body like an amusement park? Here we go
treated
again.
your body like an amusement park. No, so
my grandma was in the room.
I'm a very visual person. That's
Oh, boy.
why. That's visual.
Don't think about it too much. It was all the time, and he didn't try and hide it. That was the crazy thing. He
I'm in
just-
my own house. I'm not going to hide it. I'm comfortable here, dude.
well, you don't live here anymore, so
Yeah,
if you could
stop
stop,
I
I'd
did for a
appreciate
second.
it. So, anyway, so I've completely lost my train of thought. Now I had some good
Well, that's 'cause
questions.
you're
That's
dumb.
okay. I have a question that's going to border on not a good question.
Let's hear it.
Ooh.
So recently, I have read a book, completely fictional book, and if we're being honest, it was a smut book. That's been my new thing lately. But it's like there was a lot of kind of ethereal way of thinking in the storyline, and one of kind of the concepts really like reminded me of how you talk about, for anyone that didn't listen to the other interviews, like you talk about how we are energy contained, and then when we die we are no longer contained, and that's kind of how the process works. And in this it used the same theory, but it talked about how the living give energy into the ones that have passed on to like kind of help keep their energy there. Is there any like basis to that? Like, does the energy ever burn out? Does it just hang around? And how do we contain all of the energy that exists from people passing?
Yep. That's not a dumb question at all.
I think
All
it
right.
was
So
my-
for those of you keeping track, two great questions, one okay question,
that's-
and I have the shitty question of the
That's
interview. so
three.
far.
But I'm
Please
not
kick out
talking.
correctly.
We're balancing. It's all about balance, right? So there's a couple. First of all, semantics gets in the way of all of this, right? Because we can only understand so much with the limitation of our language. So how do we explain something that's so beyond evolved from human terms and thinking, and how do we put it in human terms? So the minute we start talking about all this stuff, we're like condensing it into not quite it, because we're putting it into words that we don't even have the right language yet to really fully understand the concept of this. Kind of like if we had talked to a caveman 10,000 years ago and we said, hey, we're going to set up solar panels on the roof of your house, so every time you flick the light switch, the lights are going to come on. They would be like, I hear you, but I have no idea what you mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like we're not quite evolved enough yet to fully understand what we're talking about. None of us are. So on that note, the living, the physical humans, we bring them back into existence through our lens, through memory, and through our experience of them. But that's a us thing. That's not necessarily a them thing. They don't need to be brought back into their old self. And people don't like to hear this because they think that means, does that mean they don't miss us? That means they've moved on from me. And it's like, no, we can't place those concepts side by side. They're no longer human. They are so much better than human. They're so much more expanded than human that they no longer need to be condensed into their human self. We need to condense them because we're still here in the physical.
Interesting.
So that's how we remember that.
So how
Resonate.
much does that like play, like emotions play into that? So are you saying that we are condensing them into this being with emotion and feeling? And I mean, obviously cognitive thought is not there, but you're saying even the energy does not experience emotion. It can't feel necessarily.
Patrick Swayze had to learn in Ghost.
That's right. He did. This is true.
No.
Well done.
Baba bang. Baba bang.
I could see those gears going. I
Yeah,
literally,
oh, yeah.
like,
Yeah, you can smell the wood burning.
I would have had plenty of feeling if I were Patrick Swayze with Demi Moore in that.
for
movie.
sure.
Another one.
Yeah.
All right, on to the smart stuff. I apologize.
Yeah. So emotions are funny, right? Because we're human and we have these things called emotion, but really what emotion is energy that we placed a label on. So we say, oh, I'm so angry. And then not only do we place the label of the phrase angry, and we say this is the human emotion named anger, we also then attach a story as to why we're angry. And that's all physical life. That's what we do here in the physical. But really, if we zoom out a little bit and we kind of not personalize everything, but we do as humans, that's our nature, but we don't have to. We realize, oh, this energy moved through me. We happen to call it anger, but it's just a form of energy that's moving through you. If we could get there, oh my God, life on this planet would change so quickly, because we would no longer be like, wow, I'm angry because that person, it's not fair. This what's happened, blah, blah, blah.
You're justifying it.
Creating stories. Exactly. We're justifying it, and or we're blaming it, and we're giving a reason, versus, wow, really observing what the energy of anger feels like as it moves through you. I think that would save life on this planet. And at the same time, it's very non-human to do that.
Do you get,
it's our nature.
With all of this in mind, do you get frustrated or roll your eyes when you see these people come out and say, I'm trying to frame my question. Like here lately, these people come out and they give these dates and they say, this date, this is going to happen, and it never does. And it creates.
Talk about 2012, dude.
No,
stuff like that.
There was one for the month of October, just recently.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what you're getting at, though,
Yes.
like a catastrophe, something.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Where people even with the political climate that we're in, where people talk about there's going to be this big event. Does that frustrate you, or because it kind of makes a mockery of your profession, in my opinion, or do you see it totally different and they're just they see something and they're just wrong?
Kind of both. First of all, I don't have the exposure to that a lot. People are like, oh, do you love watching these shows and mediums? I'm like, no, I have no interest in watching mediums, and no interest, like kind of like a dentist really probably has no interest in like watching a dentist show. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If there is such a thing.
Yep.
So in one way, I don't have that exposure. I do get frustrated with anything that kind of gives fear factor. That is a telltale sign of like, what is the agenda here? Because I'm human, I'm coming from my lens. No matter how well I'm going to explain any of this, I'm still coming from my lens as a human based on my whole upbringing. So people who say these big events and humanity's this, that, and the other thing, first of all, that's inevitable. Something big's going to happen soon. And then everyone's going to be like, see, I told you.
Yep.
They're
bound to be right at some point. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you are throwing out fear, that's a telltale sign like, something's off. Something's not right here. Why is that? Because one, people want to be right on the fearful things and not on the good things. Nobody says, wow, I have this feeling that something really beautiful and amazing is going to happen. Nobody does those predictions.
I didn't even thought about that. You're
It's
exactly
always
right.
I got next question.
Yeah, it's always like, oh my God, the world's going to blow up. Eventually, yes, the world is going to blow up. And eventually, yes, there's going to be a war that erupts. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not putting them down. But I would highly be suspect of someone who's trying to place fear in other people, because you also don't know who your audience is. And you don't know how many people have serious issues with anxiety and serious issues with faith and belief. I mean, you have to really consider to a degree, all right, what are you doing to some people? Because they will believe it, run with it, and freak out.
Well, you're exactly right. And I guess the news cycle is that way. News cycle very rarely talks about anything good. It's always something bad. Mm-hmm. I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah, it's always kind
like
of it's always kind of fear-mongering.
Yeah.
They never talk about, well, today's going to be a really great day.
Yeah.
Because that's not inciting. That's not
on November
going to
8th,
pull in
it's
views.
going to be.
Yeah, the world's going to end. There's going to be a catastrophic event.
Well, they're never,
whatever.
like Amanda said, they're never like, on November 8th, this great thing's going to happen and everybody's going to,
Yeah.
Or it's
There's
just
just
going to be a normal, boring day, and everybody's going to be safe and happy at the end of it. Like that's
I guess
that's
that,
not going.
That wouldn't be newsworthy.
Well, that's
though.
just it. That's what it. That's.
It
I
would
guess that's
have
what
to
I'm
be-
saying.
it
It's
would
not
have to be-
inciting.
The magnitude would have to be something great on a positive note, instead of talking about the magnitude of something horrible on a negative note.
Well, I guess that's what she's saying is most days are going to be non-magnitude worthy. They're going to be
I would
so
challenge
there's not
that
as
there
much to talk
is.
about. So when someone's constantly talking about those big events, like, I mean, yeah, of course, one's going to happen eventually. A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. But most of the time, our lives, this is what we're trying to teach Audrey right now. Most days are boring.
Yeah.
So when someone's constantly having those visions of big things,
Yeah.
Probably not right.
That speaks to our psychology too, the way our brains are wired. And this is science. This isn't like, oh, frou-frou. This is science. Our brains are still wired as if we are about to die any second, as if we are in the field and something could kill us at any moment. So our brains are always scanning for the perceived threat to the system. The problem is we are no longer surrounded by saber-tooth whatevers and mammoths and, black cougars or whatever, jaguars, whatever, are not jumping out at us. So we're safe for the most part. I understand too. I know people are going to say, well, there's a lot of people around the globe that are not safe. I totally agree. Yep. But I'm talking on the collective and our humanity. We are not going to die at any second, but we still behave like we are. And our news media is extremely intelligent as far as how do I get their attention for the almighty dollar? It's a real darn shame.
So they appeal to that needing to protect ourselves instinct that we have by, this is going to happen. Okay. That makes sense.
If people are stuck in survival mode, in that mode of like, oh yeah, anything could happen. Because all I hear ever is how horrible the world is, how much people suck, how nobody's like they used to be. That is all we're ever hearing anymore.
Yep.
That's true though. People suck.
But it's still
they suck until it's because when we say that and the collective is saying that, right? There are moments people suck for sure.
Yep.
But if we keep feeding that to ourselves, we're literally feeding that, hey, be on the lookout for everyone who sucks.
Self-fulfilling prophecy is what that is.
And we need to retrain ourselves. It's a serious problem in society. And I hate to say this. This is going to sound really, really, really judgmental, and it is. But people are like, the world is falling apart, and it's the hell in a handbag. I want to say, fucking take care of your own psychology.
Yeah.
Everybody recognize that. No, I know I'm a big cursor. I normally don't on podcasts. Sorry.
That's all right.
But
it's cool, dude.
No, we say it all the
just
time.
can't
It's
say it.
okay.
I'm just
Braden's
not
not allowed. You are.
it drives me crazy because the whole world, I see on social media, like, I'm so sick of the world complaining. And I'm like, that's
As you're
funny.
complaining.
Exactly. So everyone wants everything to be about somebody else's problem. And no one wants to do the inner work and look at their own stuff and see where you suck. I suck in some places. I know, hard to, oh God.
Maybe at driving.
Let me rephrase that. Maybe at driving.
And
That's
you should
me.
rephrase the other too.
Exactly.
As soon as you said it, I saw your head cock, and I was like, "Yeah, she's going to want that one back."
Yeah, we're going to need to edit that one out. But we all have these parts of us that are less than favorable, less than stellar. We all do. And I don't know why we're so afraid of talking about it. I don't know why we're so afraid, like, I would never do that. And it's like, bullshit, you wouldn't do that. Of course, you just did 20 minutes ago.
Yep.
So I'm really hot over people's complete lack of unawareness of themselves. Forget about everybody else. If you're looking at everybody else, it totally means you're not looking at
You're
yourself.
the problem. Yeah.
You're the problem. It's a really hot button for me. And this is what will change the world. And am I looking to change the world? Absolutely not. I'm looking to change my world. So if we are wired to look for the problem, then we're only going to find problems, and we're going to stay in survival mode, and we will never have a day of peace. And if we don't have a day of peace, we have no empowerment and we have no forward evolution. So we have the choice. Your listeners, everybody has the choice, and you got to get really honest and really fastidious about, am I going to gossip around the water cooler? Am I going to say negative posts to people on Facebook? Am I going to act like someone's best friend and then the next second talk about them? We have to own our crap. We really, really do. Am I going to, cheat that business owner out of whatever? We all have something that we've done that's less than stellar, but we're not going to own it. We're going to be like, yeah, we'll justify it. So okay, we can do that. The world is going to keep throwing out that energy.
I say Deborah for president.
I'm going to tell you right now.
So I think, like, I've been seeing a lot lately. So, like, human trafficking and stuff is very serious, and women and children being targeted at common shopping places. I believe that's a real threat and a real fear, but that threat and fear has been so publicized to trying to build awareness. Like, so parents pay attention, moms pay attention. You should do that anyway. But, here we are having to tell people, watch your kids. But so that now every single time that I see a post, there was a man following me through Target today. Watch out, moms.
It probably wasn't.
That's just it. It probably wasn't. Or maybe you dropped your kid's shoe and he was trying to give it back to you. But we have built so much fear around
in human nature,
around people just existing in the same space as you and your children, that it's almost hard for you to go to a store now without anybody thinking that. And that's why. And then everyone's like, but why are people not nice anymore? Why is nobody telling me my kid's cute? Well, it's because you freak out every time someone talks to you and your kid.
Exactly. It's that the fear is only going to create more, and it's keeping us in survival mode. And as long as humanity's in survival mode, we are not in thrival mode. So which one
would only be survive or
thrival? Or you said survival and thrival, right?
Yep. If we're not in thrival, we're in survival, and if we stay in survival, we're not going to get to thrival.
I'm getting a tattoo, dude. Are you kidding me?
Always in survival, never in thrival.
I'm going to tell you, there are very few moments on this podcast because usually I'm over here. My mind is just, okay, where am I going to go next? What's the button I got to push? What do I have to do? I got to keep this interview moving forward. You had me speechless through all of that, Deborah. You really did. Like talking about, I consider myself an intuitive person, and I also consider myself a realist, and I don't let a lot of noise affect me. I never have. And it's even listening to you break that down, I was totally engrossed in what you were saying, and that is one of those moments in the podcast. I'm just going to mark the time. It's 44 minutes
so
into
you can
the
go back
interview,
and listen to it again.
But this is one that that was powerful.
It is, and I'm not kidding when I say someone like her, run the country.
Well, we definitely
no.
Deborah, if it works out, I would like to be your running mate.
I was about to.
No, I have the best number of questions. I'll be the good.
Yeah.
I would be the good.
I was about to derail her whole thing and ask her a question about The Simpsons.
I will be the best friend.
I was gonna derail all the good stuff you just poured
so you
out
could
to
talk
everybody.
About the Simpsons?
I was gonna say, how do you feel about The Simpsons?
The movie, like how they have stuff in
Not
there.
the movie. It's not the movie.
Whatever.
You guys were talking about fear-mongering. The Simpsons doesn't do that. The Simpsons,
I think they do that.
No, they don't. They do not. They're calling Super Bowls. They've rightly predicted a Super Bowl back in the 80s. And then they
Trump for president.
Well,
Trump
they've done
for
a
president.
lot. Yeah. But
and it's eerily. And now I haven't looked into it. I'm.
Have you heard about that?
Real dumb.
You know what he's talking about,
But
right?
you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, I have sons all the time. Mom, the symptoms.
Yeah.
Mom, my God, look, it's symptoms.
But
Simpsons.
we've talked about you and your kids and how many do you have?
3 boys.
Three boys. That's what I thought.
Young men, actually.
So you've talked about how, when I come home, we don't talk about what I do. Mm-hmm. When Braden gets home, he doesn't talk to his kids about what he does. Like your kids, you're just mom. You're not a medium. They're not, it's kind of separate but equal, right? I mean, you guys just don't talk about it. Otherwise, can you imagine? Do you know what my life would have been like if my mom could have figured out what I was doing before I was doing it?
Can you imagine you doing that to him? You already do it. So you have a secret to tell me. Go ahead and tell me. How many times have you done that to your kids?
That hasn't
My
worked.
intuition
Hasn't worked in years.
It worked a week ago.
Just 2 weeks ago.
Not true.
Oh, I kind of believe it probably did.
Deborah.
Damn it, dude.
I do all of my kids. And it's not just my kids. I do it to people at work, too.
You did it to friends of his coming over.
I have this way that I can catch just a look. How they're holding their mouth, how their eyes are positioned. And I don't know what I'm going for, but I know there's something and I'm going to get it. And I also know I can't just say, hey, what did you do or whatever. I have to be crafty in getting there. But I do, and Deborah, I'm usually not wrong. Like there's usually a story to be told. And
of course, there's always a story with kids.
There's always a joke, well, if you keep digging, you'll find it. And that's true. But so many times, Braden and his friends, I'll do it. I'll be like, hey, you want to tell me now? Or do you want me to
find out
later? If you tell me now, it'll make it easier for both of us.
More recently, you've gotten Jamie more than you've gotten me. That's the craziest thing.
I did.
With what?
Well, what's funny is I got Jamie and Braden. They had been talking not negatively, but, kind of talking about different things going on in each other's lives. And I don't know what it was about Jamie, but I mentioned it. I'm like, so you're going to tell us what Braden said? Well, he didn't say nothing. And the way she said he didn't say nothing, I was like, yeah, he did. And I want to know what it is, so I'm going to get it.
I don't know. One of the 17 times he's done that to you. And
this is when you had a visitor. You had a visitor over that she knew about, and I didn't. And I had no idea why I was asking. I didn't sniff something out and say, Braden had somebody at his house that I won't like being there. It was more of, I made a joke. Jamie responded, and my ears went bling. There's something up.
So how many times? Back to my original question. I want to know, how many times have you done that with your own kids?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's like a mother thing. I would put that in a different category of what I do. It's more just like, your kid, something's up, something's off. So I don't think it would, that feels separate.
Yep. Back to a stupid question. Way to go, Mandarin.
We don't talk about like what I do, but my son is, particularly my oldest, is really becoming really into all this stuff, like totally on his own. I never wanted to like push my agenda. And he's really into like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Tony Robbins and just all of like, thoughts create reality. And he'll say to me like, Mom, did you know like the way you think is how things will turn out? And I'm like, no, I had no idea about that. No, really? Yeah. And Greg, their stepdad, will say, do you not know who your mother is? Do you not know what your mother does? Like, where have you guys been these 20 years?
Because in their mind, they have breaking news for you. Yeah. Like they're enlightening you.
You're just Mom. You're clearly wrong about these things. But when somebody else says it, like, did you know? You didn't know, of course, but I'm going to tell you now.
Exactly.
That's funny.
She's saying that from experience because she does it to people.
Totally.
Because
I'm their mother, and they're like, listen. But I'm like, okay, I know this stuff. So could you please listen? I know these things.
So,
Mom, how'd you know?
Back to Braden's question.
What question?
How do you think it's possible that the Simpsons get even as close as they do?
And at the rate that they do it. Because it's like there was a while
uncomfortably close.
There was a while, like a stretch, that there was something coming out every day about it.
Yeah. So some of it I think is hype. I definitely do it. There's a level of hype for sure. So we can err on like, yep, there's hype out there and people will create an episode that never was or whatever. There's hype. Yeah. And I do feel, and this is when I like kind of border on the line of like, really, I backtrack. Technology that's in our hands today was developed 25 years ago. So we're just the general population. We receive technology way after it's been developed. Like by the time it reaches the consumer's hands, it's been out for a while. So all this AI stuff that's just starting to come to society, that's been around for 25 years. Yeah. It's been in use for a really, really long time. And now it's trickling to the consumer's hands. So part of me does think there is a ton of stuff we don't know. And a ton of stuff that scientists absolutely do know and are 25 years, if not more, in advance of us. So I do feel like and it's not like a conspiracy theory, like some people are holding the secrets type of thing. It's just more of, by the time it reaches us, it's already old. Yeah. So I do think that there's something. How do the Simpsons do it? I don't know. I do think there's something to be said for someone who can feel their way through the future. Mediumship, intuition, psychic ability, whatever you want to call it, is a form of imagination. Yeah. And what I mean by that is when people say to me, how do I connect with my loved ones? I'll say, pretend they're with you. That is like if I can condense all of my knowledge into one simple instruction, how do I connect with my loved ones? That's what I boiled it down to. Pretend they are right there in the physical. And what that does is it activates the imagination and that imaginary part of the brain that's way more expansive than the logical brain, right? If I tell you to imagine, a dragon that's flying through the air, all of a sudden you can start conceptualizing that.
Got it.
So it's got breadth and expansion to the imagination, which means it's going to zoom out and include that which is seemingly not seemed as possible. The logical mind is like, a dragon in the air, that's not true. So it stays linear. It stays really, really condensed. But the imagination brings us over to this intuitive space or self. So the writers are in a constant imaginatory space. They're imagining up different scenarios for their work. So I would not doubt that would create some actual reality through their imagination. Does that make sense?
It does.
So that how when they get in that kind of open head space, that's when their energy and things you're allowed to flow a little bit easier. So someone was sitting at his desk saying, do you know what would be crazy? Trump for president. That's absolutely ridiculous. But that idea came to him because it was probably intuition. He just didn't realize it was intuition.
Yeah, 20 years
That's
or
what it was
16 years
say.
before it happened. Yeah.
Exactly. It was in the ether. It's there. It was there already. And I remember back in college, I had a philosophy class, and the teacher taught one of the big questions was, can you think of something that does not exist? That was the philosophical question. And I remember being 18 years old, absolutely obsessed with that question. I'd never been exposed to that level of, wow. So I realized in the moment, like, well, the moment I think of it, it exists. It might not be in the physical, but it exists somewhere on some plane. So the moment you do think of something, you are starting to bring it into existence. Is it physical existence? We don't know. A flying dragon in the air, I haven't ever physically seen one, but somehow we replicated one and created one that we see in movies. So in a way, it exists.
Isn't that
so
like
now
manifest destiny?
100%. Yep.
So if in order to, so we've talked about like where the world needs to go towards, what was it?
I'm getting uncomfortable.
Thrival. We need to get towards thrival. And part of doing that requires imagination and thinking outside of the box. How do you see, like I work with kids, and one of the biggest things is kids anymore do not know how to pretend. We are not teaching our children how to have imaginative, creative play. They would rather sit and watch someone else play with toys rather than create their own game and play with toys themselves. Instead of doing like practicing, if you don't use that part of your brain, you don't use those synapses, they fall off. That's how it works. How do you think that's going to look for our future? Is this going to kind of be like we are training ourselves or training our future generations to not be able to do this?
Yep. So we could look at it in two ways. There's, first of all, as a human of today, who absolutely was a byproduct of somebody who had a really good imagination and play as a kid, it's super detrimental. It's frightening to me as a human how we are moving into the direction that we're not even using this intuitive part of ourselves, the imagination. But I'm also a human. It's kind of like when old people go, oh, it's not like it used to be. Well, there is something called evolution. So we have to also speak to and not hold on to just because I had it that way, it means it's right. Because, well, when I was a kid, we walked to school. Well, that must have sucked. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, your feet were probably cold in the winter. So it doesn't mean it has to be that way. So I think it's scary and terrible. But I'm also coming from the vantage point of that's what I know. So, of course, anything other than that would be scary and terrible. And I'm a big believer in evolution. And I don't think things happen wrong in evolution. It's just things move. So what does it look like? Don't totally know. But if we don't have an imagination, I think that will damage a deep sense of self and challenging self, which will damage self-accountability, which will damage society. It's the way I view it. But again, I'm coming from the old school lens of these things are important.
I guess that's what
we're moving into AI. We're moving into AI where society is not going to be arranged anywhere remotely like any of us knew it. So is this the right evolution for the society we're moving into anyway?
That's what I'm struggling with, because, to me, to have kind of that movement forward in those ideas and all those things, you need the imagination. But what people have imagined and what people have developed and thought of and these crazy new things comes up with AI and all these new ways to do stuff. So that is evolution itself, but evolution is kind of eating away at its own version of evolution. That's how I'm seeing it.
Totally. Well done. Damn.
Wow.
That fucked me up.
I did too.
That was great. I need a shot after that.
And that's Amanda for 5 now.
There we go. My questions suck now.
I know.
Way to go.
Why do you think
Amanda.
I haven't talked?
Because you can't.
Yeah.
I know.
None of us. When Amanda gets going, there's no.
No.
I get excited about stuff.
She hears you talk. It's just she just gets a little louder.
Yeah, I was. Braden asked about The Simpsons and derailed me. Amanda went full philosophy over on the other side of the table, threw me off.
Where am I supposed to be here?
Yeah.
All I know is I'm gonna wake up every day and just say out loud, "I'm gonna be 6 foot soon."
I don't think you can fix that.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
I think you should specify because 6 foot.
She's the professional.
6
you guys
foot
aren't.
under, 6 foot where?
I want to be 6 foot tall.
6 foot deep.
I want to be 6 foot tall.
Here's the
I'm
deal.
already there.
You can be. You just have to buy thicker shoes.
Yeah.
I can't. They don't have 7-inch shoes out there for me.
Could you imagine
7? Do you
walking around a platform?
Do you understand how many inches are in a foot? I think you need more than 7.
Deborah,
You don't.
I
I'm
am
kidding.
6 feet tall, by the way.
You're 6
You're
foot?
6 feet?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Like 5'11". Maybe I shouldn't say 6 feet, but yep.
You're close enough. You get a claim.
You're taller than Braden. He's very sad now.
She's taller than everybody in this room.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm 5'11", but that's where it ends. I'm not 5'11 and a half. I'm if depending on how we round. So I've looked up because Deborah, what you do, I love, and it's you've opened my eyes to so much, but. There, of course, we've talked about being skeptical and you know your very title of your book, In the Presence of Proof. I keep digging, even when I don't expect you to be on. I'll go and look at some of your stuff, and then I'll go and look around and see what I can dig up. So I found like on the internet, there's a lot out there,
The interwebs.
and like this says, how to. I feel horrible even bringing this up, but like on Wiki, it says how to talk to the dead. And they give directions, and I wanted to get your take on each of these and just see if this is bullshit or if there's any validity to it. Would that be okay?
This is fun. This is great. Yes. Go ahead.
Back to the top, baby.
No, you're not.
Back to the top.
Let's wait till you ask your questions.
Here we go. Speaking directly to the dead. The first piece of advice they give, shift your focus to sharpen your sixth sense. What do you think of that, Deborah?
I think it's a little vague because I don't think people know what that means. But yeah, I could get behind that.
That's kind of what you're talking about. Pretend. Open up your mind to that imaginative side of you.
Yeah. This says make yourself...
Like, be aware. Yeah.
Get out of your own head.
Make yourself consciously aware of what it feels like to be yourself in the present moment. Note your location, the time, and your feelings. Otherwise, it may be difficult to return to your sense afterward. It says gradually bring your senses into soft focus. I've never heard that. Or a state of being in which you are less aware of the physical details around you. Does that make sense, Deborah?
Yeah, I'm actually impressed. I thought this was going to be like, light a candle, get out here to Ouija board, So no, so far I'm behind it. Yeah.
And then the last bullet point here on shift your focus to sharpen your sixth sense. It says once your physical awareness goes down, focus on the energy surrounding you in the room. Do not look for it, but make yourself open to focus in the room other than yourself. If you feel any presences, try asking questions.
Amazing. Who
Sounds
wrote
pretty
this?
spot on.
It's on WikiHow. It's
I'm
wikihow.com. Talk to the dead.
Wow.
I'm totally pleasantly happy to hear this.
He's asking you loaded questions. He wrote it.
No, I did not write this. I wish.
I'm just kidding.
Number 2, it says, attempt to talk through the power of your mind.
Yes.
Quiet yourself and clear your mind as though you are preparing to meditate, which you do. Sit in a location that is silent and free from distraction. Close your eyes and empty your mind of anxiety and thought. We're 2 for 2.
I wish I knew how to
I
do
would
that.
challenge the empty your mind of anxiety and thought. It would, because the moment we're trying to focus on emptying our mind of anxiety, we're like, I don't know how to do that. And we get in our head. So if you're with anxiety, it's more of like, notice how you're feeling in the moment and be okay with that. Like, you don't have to like whatever you are, wherever you're at in the moment is where you're at. So I wouldn't tell people to try to empty their anxiety because it's not going to happen.
This also says under attempt to talk through the power of your mind, fix an image of your deceased loved ones in your mind after you have cleared your mind of other thoughts. Choose the image that is representative of that loved one according to the relationship you had with them. What do you think? What do you think?
I think this is well done. This is a very good
Who knew?
instruction.
Wiki got it right.
Wiki got one right. Did you write this? They probably
I'm
came
shocked.
Says,
They probably went to her book.
Yeah, that's right. Ask your deceased loved one a question after you have held that person's image in your mind for several seconds. That feels a little forced to me.
Yeah, I kind of know what they're like. I would tell people just start having a conversation. Literally, I would say, all right, imagine your loved one sitting right next to you. Imagine whatever, if they have their favorite shirt, just pretend you see that shirt. If they have, a favorite hobby, imagine they're doing their hobby. Like however your mind can conceive of them in that moment, focus on that and then say, hey, I'm trying to talk to you. Like literally have this like, as if they are there. I'm really trying to talk to you. I'm, not really feeling you around, but I really want you to be around. Just start having a conversation that's real and authentic. Not, hi, how are you? Can you show me you're here? Like, not that. It's more of like, I'm not even sure if I'm really believing this, but I really want to. And I really miss you. And I wish you can come through. And I wish we could have a conversation. Start having that conversation. Okay. And then you'll start to see what starts moving out of that.
I could be wrong, but I think we're going to make a turn on this next one. It said, this is WikiHow speaking directly to the dead. Ask for a response to simple questions.
Yeah, she just told you not to do that.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. This says for like the most common two methods of reply are knocking and flashlights. Have you heard of this? Yeah,
there it is.
So now we've gone into Ghostbuster shit.
Yeah,
now we're into the bullshit.
For knocking, instruct any spirits in the room to give 1 knock for yes and 2 for no.
Are you
They
trying?
were doing so good.
Are they just trying to scare the shit out of people now?
Exactly.
So now anytime they're going to hear a thump, there's a thump upstairs. Who was that? How do we know it's a good spirit or a bad spirit? Now we've gone into paranormal.
They said no.
I live in this world 24/7. I do readings 24/7. And the day they start knocking answers, I'm done. I'm going to go work for a betting. I am doing this. I am out. So that will freak me out. Although I will say I did do a segment on a radio station, and we would go to like a haunted place, and it was the first time that the people at the radio station, wanted to connect with energy, and there was really strongly felt energy. And it was a bank, actually. So it's weird that I said I'm going to work at a bank. And they had two flashlights, and they were like, make this one say yes and make this one say no. And it was the first and only time that I can recall that it actually responded. I could hear their response, the energy's response, but I didn't have access to see the flashlights, but they were blinking the correct responses I was hearing. Wow. And that was kind of cool. That was a cool moment.
It's funny because it actually says that on here, and using a flashlight, go with your flashlight that can be turned on easily with a button, and you unscrew it enough.
Yes.
So that it barely touches. So that's
exactly what they did. Yep.
So they got their directions from Wikipedia. Got it.
Yeah. This says to let's see. Speaking I think we'll stop there on that part because it gets into enlisting outside help and says
calling
work with
someone
a
that knows what they're
medium.
doing.
Yeah, it actually does what you would expect.
Say, call Deborah.
Yeah, that's what. And it also number 3 in the next part is conduct a seance. So I think we know what you think about that.
Yeah. So I feel like the word seance is like 1850s. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So people are like, "Oh, are you going to do a seance?" And I'm like, "I am not
214 years old."
Yeah. Exactly. Nope.
No chickens will be sacrificed today.
So
exactly.
Deborah, when I go to a website that matters that isn't Wiki, I go to DeborahHanlon.com. And
there you go.
There we have a great picture of you, and it says, getting in touch with your beingness leads to your knowing and doing naturally. I told you before we got started, I was going to kind of touch on this. Why is being and knowing Tell me why those are such important words in what you do.
Yep. So years ago, when I first started all of this, my whole thing is how do I make this as simple as possible for people to grab hold of so that you can start moving and expanding into all of this. And I tried to identify all right, what are the consciousness, the energies of our loved ones who have passed? What are they like? If I had to put it in words, and it was their being, their knowing, their doing. So if I had to explain what their world is like, it's being, knowing, and doing. They're pure being. There is just what is pure being, all knowing. There's nothing they need to know. There's nothing they're in lack of. Past, present, future. Knowing is absolute. And then the doing piece is a little bit of, it's not literal. It's more when we are connecting with them. It's, okay, can my dad help me feel calm about XYZ? And that's the doing piece. So that's more of us bringing the doing to them. They don't have to do anything because they're fully being. But I take that umbrella of snapshot of what they are. And then I think, all right, well, how do we apply that in our lives now so we can attain a level of at least closer balance or inner peace? And we have to pay attention to our beingness. And when we are true and real and authentic to who we are, which includes being aware of the unfavorable components of ourselves, which includes accepting that we're not perfect and we're not going to get it right, and accepting that we've made bad decisions. Even when we knew better, we didn't do better. So it's a full beingness and a full presence of ourselves as a human. That leads us, when we're authentic, leads us into that space of mind where we can be knowing of what's next for us, really true with what feels right next. So we're in tune with our intuition. We're in tune with our knowing. And then our actions, our doing, is a natural outworking of that. We don't betray ourselves anymore because we're coming from being, we are aware of our knowing, and then our actions, our doing is just natural from that. And that doesn't take a lot of thinking. It doesn't take a lot of, oh, look how good I am. Or it doesn't take a lot of, oh God, I suck. Why am I the worst person ever? It's more of a, here I am. This is who I am. That piece that's most important for humans is that self-reflective, introspective state of being, of owning yourself, owning what you've got going on, and then moving with consciousness going from there. So it all starts from beingness.
Man, that is just simply incredible. Like what you've made that such impactful. You made it, the whole thing, you've put it together in this beautiful package. You really have.
Well, to try, so we can try and wrap our minds around, because there's so much, like you're talking about, like accepting and owning who you are, and whether you're good or bad, or, don't get caught up in the I suck or the I'm great. Those are all social constructs that we have kind of fit ourselves into this box that's not anything to do with our being. Our being is just who we are. Whether it's good or bad or how it's viewed as society is honestly society's problem, not our problem.
Exactly. It's the world of duality that we live under. This is good, this is bad. I am good, I am bad. That person's amazing, I'm not that. Like, it's a constant. It's very unconscious. Making judgments and putting ourselves in a place of, I'm either good or bad, right or wrong,
success or fail.
No. Success or fail, happy or sad. And that's not how energy works. Energy just is. It just is. There's no word to describe it. This is what it is. Remember going back to like the energy of anger. It's not bad. It's just, it's the energy of anger. It's the energy of sadness. It's the energy of joy. But we like to attach it and create a reason and create a story and then create an identity. And then that's my identity. Now I have to defend it. And then anything that threatens that identity, I don't want to own. So I'm going to make it their fault. And it just creates such ridiculous confusion. Nobody's authentic and real and honest. Everyone's always like, I would never do that. And I'm like, oh
yes,
my God.
You would.
Did, and that's fine. We're human. Let's accept all our good, bad, and indifferent, all of my intuitive development classes, my psychic development, are personal development classes, because I believe if you're going to be an intuitive, you better be super aware of you, the instrument that's doing the work. This is why I think a lot of mediums talk about hauntings, or, oh yeah, they're stuck in, this place, they can't cross over. I hear that all the time. Oh, I had to help these souls cross over. I'm like, you are so full of shit right now that makes no sense, right? A human, we're fallible. We have limited view. Our views are based on our upbringing. Like, we've got a lot of conditions. I don't think energy that's expanded and complete one with the collective needs a human's help. That would be so presumptuous to think that, oh, I'm so spiritual that it needed my help. That's garbage. That's really like uneducated garbage. And instead, it's, we need their help. We need to expand ourselves and our vision of ourselves, not the other way around. So if you're going to be a medium and you're like, oh, I helped all these souls, you have a complex where you feel only worthy if you are helping others. Let's own that. Let's look at that. Probably came from your childhood. So psychology, our upbringing, all of it's really tied in to the craft and to the art of intuition, especially if you're going to do it for other people. Because people will come to me, oh my God, they said my dad is so mad at me because, he can't cross over because I didn't bury him properly. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
That's the dumbest shit I've heard. Yeah. But, or I hear this a lot of times. This is a really important message where people think people who have taken their lives don't get to experience heaven. Are you kidding me? A medium is actually dumb enough to say that to a grieving family member who already lost a person who took their lives. And now you're going to say, yeah, now they're,
and now they're suffering
suffering
now. Yeah.
I mean, that's really like complete ignorant stupidity. It's emotionally unintelligent to say that to someone. It's not factually correct. That means that person has no understanding of energy whatsoever and no understanding of the human condition whatsoever. And they have their own conditioned beliefs, which we all do. We all have conditioned beliefs, so that's fine. But you have to be aware of you
have to be aware of, you have to be aware of yourself. And so you've got to let feeling guide you instead of your own thoughts, instead of overthinking it. And
Amanda,
that's how
can
you
shut the fuck up? You're taking all the good questions, all the good statements.
That's okay, because I want to go into Halloween now. How can we talk to Deborah Hanlon around Halloween and not talk about Halloween?
You're getting ready to derail because she says in her mind, she's saying, oh, great, it's Halloween. So, of course, I'm going to get Halloween questions.
Well, so I want to talk about how, you've seen the hospital, there's an insane asylum in Indiana that you can go and people say, really crazy things happen. What do you think about all of that? Because energy just is. It's not negative. It's not bad. So why are all these people going?
Let me give my take.
Go for it.
I think it's my opinion that they recognize that this is a revenue stream and they're going to make the most of it. So they are smart in creating the atmosphere, and there might be different things that happen supernaturally, I guess, if you will. But I would guess, Deborah's probably going to correct me, that there is some level of acting or electronics or using the facility.
So you think the facility is staged?
I do think
it's a giant haunted house, on the next level.
In my opinion. Deborah, take it away.
So I don't know about the specific one you're talking about. I'm sure there's lots that are staged. I'm sure there's that component because people like to get creeped out. So I think that definitely is a reality. But say you go into just a place like that, just nothing. It's in the woods. It's not even a stream of revenue whatsoever. As a human, if you know what the place is, wow, this was an insane asylum. Instantly we know, oh, some energy happened here, some heavy duty stuff. Versus say, this is the nursery of one of the Rockefellers. That would be a different energy just based on what you're hearing. So instantly we start gearing ourselves up to pay attention to, oh, there must be some crazy shit in here, which It's probably true if you go into an asylum, and I'm sure there was a lot of stuff. And I don't mean crazy in a detrimental, like negative word. I mean like, whoa, wacky, wild stuff. So our thoughts and beliefs about the place will absolutely feed into what we are feeling and experiencing and plugging into. So right off the bat, you go to a creepy old house, it looks creepy, you're going to feel creepy.
You've got the preconceived notion.
You have a preconceived notion. Exactly. So we have to pay attention to that right off the bat. Again, that's why self-development is important, because you have to know, like, oh, I'm making this place up to be creepy versus is it really creepy yet? Am I feeling anything?
Your own power is making it creepy then, basically.
Your own viewpoint of it is, you're prejudging, your preconceived notions. So that's a factor in this. And we have to be aware of it to go, okay, that part's mine. And then when you realize, oh, that part's mine, and then you sink deeper. It's kind of like if I saw somebody come, this is why I love my phone appointments, our phones now, and I can't see anybody at all, because say someone comes into me and they're 95 years old. Instantly, I'm probably going to assume definitely I assume her parents are passed. Do you know what I mean? So that's not intuitive. She's 95. So most likely her parents are passed. So we create these judgments. So I have to be aware of like, all right, what am I thinking? And then like, what are my notions? If someone comes really, really well dressed or really, really poorly dressed, you're making judgments on that. You have to be aware of it and then realize, that's not the story.
That's where you start looking for something and you're going to miss something else because you're only focused on what you're seeing.
What you think. Yeah. And
100%. Right. And that's not intuition. So there's a lot, that's why haunted houses and all that have a great response, because instantly we've been fed that those places are going to give you the creeps.
Exactly what they think they are.
So how genius was it for someone to create the first haunted house and say, I can take this house and build this fear and this idea that this is a scary place, and then people are going to come pay me money to be scared of it. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I want to shake that person's hand. They were smart.
I want to get in their will.
It's probably like one of the Barnums from like Barnum Circus. Do you know what I mean? Like
yes.
It's got to be something.
Barnum and Bailey, where they...
Barnum and Bailey Circus.
I'll tell you more about it off air, but those ideas, she's right. That would be in the same wheelhouse. So, Deborah, now we've kept you longer than I anticipated, much longer.
Love it.
But I did want to talk about, just real quick, you're a very busy person these days. And on your website, we can see you've got your Intuition Unleashed. In November, you've got Mediumship Gallery at Grassroots Yoga and Wellness. Mediumship gallery event with Deborah Hanlon. That's November 7th. November 8th, Intimate Gallery at Weeds Orchards and Winery. Silk Factory Mediumship Gallery. I mean, these are just days apart. One more thing. I'm noticing you're starting to do like November 14th, Grieving, and the Transformation Workshop. Tell me about these different things that you have going on and how we can find them.
Yeah, that's all on my website. And I do online galleries as well. So that's in December, I'll have an online one for people who aren't local to me. So it's basically me bringing through messages of people who have passed and answering intuitive questions and that sort of thing right here online. And the workshops are, years ago, I used to have a center before COVID. I closed it during COVID. And the reason why I started the center is I would do private one-on-one readings and then I wouldn't hear from anybody. And I would wonder, like, how'd that work out? How'd their divorce go? I was wondering, like, how'd it go? And then I realized, see them a year later. And then I realized people need more individual work. They don't need just readings. Yes, what happens after a reading? Yes, you have that hour of feeling like, oh my God, yes, my loved ones are with me. But then what do you do with that information? How do you live and grow and learn and expand? So that's when I started my center and started all sorts of workshops. So I've been doing them for years and years. The grief one is only a year new. And that's about just talking about grief as we experience it and talking about grief as just an energy that moves through the body and how that looks and why, Chinese medicine knows that when we are grieving, our lungs process the energy or the emotion of grief. So a lot of times when we're grieving, your lungs get hit. You get bronchitis, you get allergies, you get colds because your lungs are working overtime. And this is traditional Chinese medicine has been talking about this for thousands of years.
I have never heard this.
Yeah, neither have I. I've never heard of. I wrote down Chinese medicine. I need to know more.
What are you grieving about, dude?
I don't know. Tell me.
Loss of your freedom.
Go ahead, Deborah.
Well, I was going to say, it could be, it's not always a death. We could be grieving a job. We could be grieving our former self. We could be grieving, it's not just, we think grief, we think death, but grieving loss of any sort, a loss of a best friend because they're no longer our friend. I mean, there's a lot of ways we grieve. So it's no shock to me that COVID in 2020 was a global happening. Where did that normally affect our lungs? That was a global grieving.
Holy
because
shit.
we've been grieving for years and years. So, yeah.
Deborah,
Yep.
holy shit. All right.
Jams is grieving no longer being unemployed.
She's,
So, like, when I get
Jams is grieving going to school.
Learn me some stuff about Chinese medicine here. When I am really tired, like if I've gone a day or two without regular rest, I get sick. I get a head cold. It's like clockwork. Denny's like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you sick?" I said, "I haven't slept for the past 4 days." How is that tied into Chinese medicine then?
So it would be a real practitioner would be I'm not as knowledgeable about the ins and outs of all of it, but what I would say intuitively for you, with the little knowledge that I do have of it's TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. One, you're a thinker. So anytime your energy field is going to be off kilter and not getting enough sleep, not proper nutrition, not proper balance of rest, it's always going to go to your head because why? You're constantly thinking. And we could say that we're all actually all women are constantly thinking.
Yeah,
I don't know why you guys don't think so much. It's really aggravating, but women, it's going to your head, so your head's going to, so what do? Really practice breath work of just how to be in your body. You're probably almost never in your body, meaning it's just I got to do this, I got to do that. What's next? Oh my God. I forgot to call. Very mental.
Just take a trip in my head?
Well, I have the same brain.
Yeah.
She's too busy listening to nasty books and stuff.
Yeah, she's all about it.
No, that's how I zone out.
That's how I get her in her body, actually. That's literally that is helping you actually get your body.
My bad.
She
That's my bad.
playing. She's like an amusement park for herself.
Yes, she is.
Stop. I can't laugh.
Let me stop. That's my bad. I did
had
this
my own jokes
solely
there
to
that I was
myself.
going to make, and I said, nope, I'm not going to. And then Deborah said, I'll do it for you. I got you covered.
I
Kat.
did it. I took the pitch.
So because it is moving along and you've got a day ahead of you, I had asked you before the show if you would mind kind of feeling out the room here and talking about what you see. And, you've done it. You've offered. I've never wanted to be that podcast that said, hey, can you come on and give us a reading?
But here we are.
No, I think I want to help our listeners find you, and I want to help our listeners understand what you do. And so I thought, what better way?
That's a
I'm
great
not
point
ask you to
because
go off the rails.
there's
Just-
always going to be skeptics, and I'm sure we
Yeah.
have listeners even now that are like, "How have you guys bought into this?" The part you didn't see the very first time we interviewed Deborah was off air. She's never been here. She's never met us other than podcast and video and all that stuff. So, but then she gave us details about our house. So I guess that'd be cool for them to see online. We'll let our listeners
Yeah. So we're just going to let her
experience it.
Deborah, we're just going to hand the floor to you.
Should we
at this
dim-
point. I don't know
should
how
we
this
dim the
part
lights?
works. We've
Are you gonna
never
light a
done
candle?
this
Nope, that's
before.
seancing.
Yeah. Do we all hold hands? How does this part work?
We
Sorry,
start-
I
we
left
start
the
humming
lighter
and stuff.
upstairs.
Oh.
Or the chalk. What is it? The salt? We've got to put salt at the door. Make sure nobody gets in.
There you go. Right. Salt at the door. So what I do is anytime I do a reading for somebody that I'm placing focus, I have a paper in my hand, No, I don't have a paper in my hand. I have a pencil in my hand, and I just start writing all over a piece of paper. Jamie, your lung stuff, I do want to go there first. You're not dying or anything like
Thank
that.
God.
But
Thank you.
Go ahead. Take it away, Deborah.
there is I feel back in July, there was like a big whoa in your life that like all of a sudden everything went in a different direction. So that it feels kind of like shocking. I don't think it was like somebody passed, but it feels like, oh my gosh, my whole nervous system went on fire, and you haven't really quite been the same since, but it's also it's waking you up. It's making you go like, oh my God, okay, I've got to like really kind of move forward in my own way. Does that make sense so far without telling me any details?
Yes.
Boy, does it.
So July was like the boom of this. And then I do think do you have a lot of like knee or joint issues too?
She smokes a lot of them.
But
that's probably helping.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
My body's been sore.
Yeah. I mean, and I think all of us and our diet totally contributes to our body feeling well and all that, especially American diet's the worst. Yeah, I get like joints. I would have blood work done on you.
Holy shit.
Check on all of your like vitamins, minerals, magnesium.
My hair's falling out.
Oh God, girl. Yeah. You need to get a whole workup on all your blood levels and the vitamin mineral levels of your body.
But you said I wasn't dying.
You're not dying.
Hers
You're
doesn't
not
have
dying.
No,
insurance.
you just will feel better if you.
Deborah,
You're treating it like it's a cold, and it's not a cold. Okay. So it's like your body is like run down, and it's not going to catch up. Okay. So you do. And it's not scary. If I thought like you had terminal, believe it or not, I would say that. I'd be like, I would go into that direction. But this definitely feels like the immune system is way, way off, and it's way out of balance. I would look into the medical medium, if you've heard of him, Anthony Williams, and look at his work, because he does a lot with like holistic juicing and all of that stuff to sort of bring your body back to life, because you feel really run down. And it's not just right now. It feels like, I think it was a nervous shock to your system of some sort in July that kind of put you on the path of this.
Can I tell you what it was?
Yeah, please.
Okay, whoa. She hit the month?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I was trying to think too. I was like, what the hell happened to you in
because
July?
the
April was
timeline
when
works.
you stopped, was when you were let go.
When was that? When did it happen?
Was that April or May? Because it
It's
was
in
all
In May.
No, you got fired in April. You were let go in April.
April 14th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and then we had the like fight with.
So my parents were going to buy a campground.
Yeah,
So
boy,
I
let's
There
do
it is.
the
There
June.
it is.
No.
Let's
So I
do
put
year
my
in cap.
2-month notice in. Somebody else, I wanted to train somebody else at work. I worked at this job I worked for the city for like 12 years. Then I trained them while my dad got cancer, and we lost the campground because of issues. And then I said, can I stay in, can I stay at this job until October when I start school for esthetician? And they were going to work it out where I could stay part-time, help her get through the summer, because that's the busy season. And they told me that like 2 weeks later, it was going to be my last day. And so the whole summer, I pretty much had off. I've bartended a little bit here and there. But I enjoyed the summer with Audrey. I don't remember what happened.
Was
What
it
did I do in
unemployment?
July?
Like, was that when you got you were denied unemployment and then you had a fight to get,
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
I feel like right at
Yeah.
the beginning of summer is when, like, financially you're like, shit, we had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went kabooey.
Yeah.
I would say that was right
The
there.
system is freaking out, and it's like, I've got to get my stuff together. I got to get my shit together. I've got to move forward. And like, there was like panic, fear that ran through your body.
Oh,
So that's the origin.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a B12 issue, actually. Do you ever take magnesium? Probably not. Nobody ever does. We probably need that. Well, we probably all do. Magnesium and zinc, don't take them together, take them at separate times. But yeah, all of your energies are really low, like blood work. Like it's not leukemia. It's not, it's not anything like, oh my God, I can't bounce back from, but you got to catch it now.
She has done this for years, Deborah. Like this isn't something that just crops up. So you're on to something there with your energy, because you're fine until you hit this wall.
You get
out.
into this funk, and you have been. Like we know that you've been kind of from this
and usually
summer.
it is stress related that gets you there.
I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know if what I'm doing right now is right, and am I wasting my time? And I'm not in a place that I've ever been before.
Yeah, that's actually the good news. I know it never feels good. Yeah, it never feels good. But when you're like uncertain and it's like, nothing feels right and I have no direction, what normally humans do is we force a direction. Well, I've got to figure something out, especially adults, right? We have to like figure it out. And we don't just let ourselves just not know. We're super uncomfortable with not knowing, and we don't let ourselves. And that comes back to our conditioning in school. If a teacher called on you for an answer and you said, I don't know, the teacher didn't accept an I don't know. They probably humiliated you. They bring you up to the board. They do all this stuff. So we're conditioned to think I've got to know the answer.
Right.
Which is so counterintuitive. This is all of us. We all are under this. So when we don't know what we want to do, we don't know what next phase of our life we're in, we instantly just trying to force things forward. Instead of going, I'm in this phase. I'm in the I don't know phase. I'm in the wait and see phase. I'm in the, this is really uncomfortable and I'm totally scared phase. And let it be that. That is so much easier on the human system than, oh God, I've got nothing in the tank, but my God, I'm going to go back to school right now. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a career, and it's never going to make sense and feel right. Doesn't mean you make a wrong decision. It's just, if you're waiting, like I thought I'd feel better going to school and I don't, it's stressing me out more. It's because you're all of a sudden out of alignment with like, oh my God, I just really kind of want to just lay and not know and not have to figure everything out. So we have to work with our energy as best we can. I call it the goo phase. Mm-hmm. And I have like members that join and we meet weekly, and I was in a very goo phase for a very long time. Never in my life did I not know what I wanted. I always knew what direction I was wanted. And about the last 2 years, I was like, wow, I got nothing. I have no direction. I have no desire. I don't care. And I made it like, you're in the goo phase. I'm not talking about myself to talk about myself. I'm making a point. But when a caterpillar goes into its chrysalis, it completely breaks down into goo. And it's like, there's no form, and it's really gross. It's just nothing going on. You're not a caterpillar and you're not a butterfly. You're just goo. And that's an important piece of moving into the next level for yourself.
You can't become a butterfly without being goo.
You have to be goo. You have to be gooey. It's totally fine. And every human, adults, we think like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? You're in your goo phase. It's all right. Let ourselves be in a goo phase. Yes, we have to make money. Yes, we have to pay bills. So that adds to this stress. But what we can do is realize, I'm just going through the motions right now, and the real true me is in total goo. I'm not feeling it. I don't like anything. I don't really think I'm depressed, but I probably will be confusing it with depression because that's what we tell ourselves it is. We're in goo phase. It's totally fine. So you're in goo phase, and goo phase will move. It always does. So
you have just blown her mind.
Yeah.
What?
Still go to school. Still do the motions. You can do the motions.
You thought she said don't.
Yeah. I'm like, quit tomorrow. I knew it.
No, well, you also have an inadequacy button. Like you never feel good enough and right enough.
Oh,
so, like,
my God. Are you shitting me?
So school is challenging you. And what you need to do is, the whole thing you need to do at school is, I'm really proud of myself for doing this. This is really hard. This took me out of my comfort zone and it sucks. I don't really like feeling dumb. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even interested in it. I'm not learning. I don't get it. It's not making sense. Allow all that. It's fine. It doesn't have to make sense. The fact that you're just making a step for yourself and you're sticking with the challenge is what's more important than whether you get the lesson or not. That stuff will come. Do you know what I mean? Like when you become an esthetician and all that, you'll get it. You'll have clients and it'll make sense. Or you'll never touch it again. This is not going to be invaluable. You're in goo stage. You need to let yourself like, I feel like your whole body is like stiff and trying to like make everything right. And I'm okay. And everybody, I'm okay. It's like robotic, but really it feels like you just want to be like a rag doll and just like, oh, I just want to fall. And so let yourself at least fall into yourself. Does that make sense? Versus don't try to be robotic with yourself. You may be the world, you got to be robotic, but with yourself, really accept. I had to accept. It was really scary. It's super scary. I'd never had it before. And I thought, oh my God, I'm losing all my motivation. Nothing matters. I'm not good at anything. All the stories that we weave during goo phase is really hard. So you're in that space.
The Every Joke Has a Little Truth studio has
Stunned
fallen
to silence.
Yeah.
To what you've just done.
I'm not. Yeah.
And by the way, it didn't have anything to do with dead people. That's the other piece I want to point out is your message is not just about the afterlife.
Is there anything else?
Hey, Denny, shut up. I have questions. Go ahead.
I mean, because I'm not gonna lie. Like my mind, like I'm blown. Wow.
Yeah, on what she just said.
Yeah.
Good.
Because
I do. Do you ever go to chiropractors by any chance? You definitely need a really good upper body adjustment to get the energies moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got it.
She's got a checklist.
So much soothing. Yeah, you need so much soothing. You're not going to be in this phase forever, and you're going to totally bounce back from this phase, like stronger than you knew before, but just not right now. So don't focus on that. Just stay in goo. I'm in goo. I don't like it. I'm in goo, and just give total compassion to goo. So that's going to actually, it's like you need permission to be. That's what you need. Permission to be.
Permission to be.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's you.
So when you're freaking out, I'm going to say, goo, Jamie.
Yeah.
Goo.
And for everyone listening too, goo stage does not stay that way. It doesn't stay that way. We're so afraid it's going to that we resist it, which keeps us like,
In it
oh
longer.
my God, you're in it longer.
Yep.
Exactly. Or you're in it more deeply because it's like, oh my God, no, really, everything's going to fall apart. Yeah, sometimes things fall apart and they always fall apart to come back together.
Yep.
Law of nature. So yeah, goo stage is not bad. We need to really normalize like, yep, here I am. Don't have a care in the world. Don't have motivation or view or thought or nope, I'm good.
Wow.
That helps humanity. Now, who else? Does anyone have any questions?
No, I'm so excited to hear
God,
that.
no,
'cause,
dude.
like,
I'm terrified of the answers. No, I don't have any goddamn
I mean,
questions.
I do.
It's just terrifying.
I have all the questions right now because I'm like, how do I get inside my body? How do I get into that like understanding?
She said it. You just fall.
I just
allow it.
Allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So you have to really pay attention to like, what are you telling yourself? You know, like, are you saying, come on, let's go, Jamie, what's wrong with you? Oh my God. Hey, like, are you doing that?
No.
If you're doing that, then realize, okay. So then if you're going, I don't give a fuck, I don't care. Just notice that. So if
I'm really going, can I be this dumb? How do I not understand this? Am I doing the right thing? Why am I wasting my time? Oh my gosh, you were not made for school. Oh my gosh, did I make, you know what I mean?
So you're in an unconscious replay of your 3rd to 7th grade years. So I don't know if like you felt like not smart then,
Yes.
or like, yeah. So you're in a replay, and you're in the replay so that you can realize like it wasn't true the first time around. It's not true now either. It's just sort of like, I'm not getting it. That's fine. I'm not getting it. I don't get it. I mean, if you had 3rd grade version of you, and 3rd grade version of you was like, I don't understand school, you wouldn't say to 3rd grade you, God, you're so stupid. How do you not get that? You would be like, oh, wow. All right. What do we need to do to help you get this? You know, maybe we need to break it down into smaller pieces. It's not a dumb thing. It's just like, we're not getting it. We don't get everything fast. So it's so all about compassion, but you're in a replay and then you feel stuck. And when we're in childhood consciousness, which is what you're in, we as kids don't feel that we're in charge of ourselves, because we're not. We have adults who are in charge of us. So in child consciousness as an adult, we automatically unconsciously think, I can't do anything to change this. There's something wrong with me. I should know better. You know, all of that dialogue starts coming in. So instead of like, it's really about nurturing that younger version of yourself and realize like, it's totally fine. You don't get it. Mm-hmm. Who cares? It's not about dumb. It's just not, you're not learning it the way it's being taught. That is all it is.
But she can overcome it though.
Of course you can overcome it. You just have to not overcome it by the way it's being taught. Mm-hmm. So if I have a kid that's not getting it the way it's being said, then I have to modify the way I teach it.
So like, it's really cool because right now, Audrey, you know, the last year or so has really struggled with schooling, and she go through the same thing, probably the same way that you felt and are feeling
Audrey's
now is how Audrey is feeling. And you alone have really helped her overcome the way you study with her spelling words, all that stuff that you do works. It's not the way I think. I can't help her as well as you can, but so you're giving her all of that help that you're really needing to give yourself as well.
Well, that's the cool part. Is Audrey like 3rd, 4th grade?
Yes, she's 3rd grade.
Of course she is, because this stuff is so amazing. So energetically, you are reliving, and this is for all parents, we relive on the unconscious level wherever our oldest child is at in their life. Well, any of our children, particularly the oldest, is we're back to our 3rd grade self when our child's a 3rd grader. But we don't know that. We're not taught this, which would be really helpful if humanity was, because then all of a sudden you literally are reparenting yourself right now by parenting her. So you can look at yourself and go, what did I need at that time? This is what I needed. And then as you parent her, you're reparenting you. You probably needed to be heard. You probably needed someone to tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just we have to find the way that you learn. And that's every human.
I wish somebody would have done, because
You're not learning the same way that they're teaching in the classroom. Audrey doesn't learn the same way they teach in the classroom.
Everybody learns differently.
Everyone learns differently, and you have found a method to her because it's the method that you needed too.
Well,
is what
and
she's
plus
saying.
you know that she needs it. And as it relates to your child, you don't usually let things get in your way and stop you because you know she needs to learn. So you adapt to her need, but when it's yourself, you're like, oh, fuck it, I'll be okay. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, as an adult, you think
relates to
we're
your
just supposed to
child, you have
power
fight
through.
through it. So,
Right. That's exactly the word I was going to say. You're just trying to power through when it's like, wait a minute, none of this makes sense to me that way.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I fancy myself a bit of a body language expert and reading people. And like, Deborah, you're always engaged in our podcast, and I really love and appreciate you for it. But like watching you when you started talking to Jamie, your energy changed immediately too. I don't know. It was probably unconscious. You lifted yourself up off your chair. You repositioned your feet. You're leaning forward. Like your total being changed because it was time to go to work, and you could see it. And it was really incredible to watch that.
That's cool.
Unfold.
That's cool to hear.
So.
Yeah, well, so you know what gets like, someone asked me the other night in my gallery, like, what do you like in your life? And I thought, oh, that's weird. Like no one normally asks that in a gallery. And they were like, what are your hobbies? What's your thing? And I realized, oh my God, I love humanity. I love humanity that's struggling and are willing to be aware and own it and be vulnerable and be open and be powerful all at the same time. Like I literally live for humans that are in that space. Like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, you know, and it's like, oh, cool. But I'm doing it. Cause I think my view of the world, you know, the media has it in one way. My view of the world is we are pretty damn amazing. We are very resilient. I am surprised we haven't blown this planet up 1,000 times over. Yep. You know, if the world was so bad, it really would have been destroyed a long time ago. Yes, we have outliers. Yes, our systems need to change. Yes, we're in a weird time in history where things are moving and evolving differently. But at the front lines, most people, like last night when someone was choking in the audience, 15 people jumped up. If humanity was so bad,
Yep.
nobody would have gotten up.
Boy,
So
listen.
in the time of when we really need each other, we're there. We show up. We just aren't exposed to keep seeing this. So my thing is about like, can we just see how really cool we all are, even where we suck? I think we're like when we know, like, oh yeah, I'm a total asshole when it comes to blah blah blah. I love that, like self-ownership and like, yep, I'm working on that. Self-awareness.
People always say, you know, I want to go back to the America of September 12th, 2001, where we were all together, we were all united. And I'm like, it's the same. We just all are bickering at each other about nonsense now. And that's kind of what you're talking about, is we are that society that came together. Everyone was one and willing to go to battle and fight for their neighbors. But now we've just kind of fallen off of that.
We've let other influences infiltrate our thinking. And it's
we've got a phone in front of us 24/7, and we've got, you know, oh my God, such and such. But we have lost the skill of reflection and self-awareness. We have absolutely lost that. We are not implanting that in others. Everything is someone else's fault. You know, everything, everywhere. You know, if I see one more thing about narcissism on social media, I'll be the one that blows the planet up. It's so always the most narcissistic people who are making the posts about how narcissism. They're a narcissist. It blows my mind. And hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with it, but a little self-education would be like, oh wow, I'm the narcissist. Oh my God, I didn't know.
It's me too. Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody.
Hi. I'm the problem. It's me.
I love that song. Yeah. Amazing song. That is the best song. That was culturally on
at
time.
The right time. Yeah.
It really was. Yeah. So, I mean, we're so much to learn about ourselves. We're so afraid of ourselves, and we're so afraid of our power. And we're all kind of getting dulled into non-acceptability, non-responsibility. And that's really unempowered state. And I think humanity is brilliant. We're resilient, we're kind, we're helpful, and we're totally plugging into things that are showing where we're different. And, you know, so cool. The only way it's going to change is each person takes responsibility for themselves.
Yep. So profound.
Is that so preachy? It's so obnoxious.
No,
but
not at
crazy.
all.
Yeah. And it's about owning your stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, all like spiritual workshops, everyone's like, I'm the light and I'm wonderful and I'm one with the universe. I don't do it that way. I do it the opposite way, because
what's wrong with humanity. Yeah.
Let's look at where, like, oh yeah, I do gossip about my coworkers. Okay. We can work with that. Mm-hmm. We can do that.
You have to be willing to admit it.
Honesty.
You have to be willing to see it.
Willing to own your own shit.
Yes.
Totally. Yes. It's all about self-truth and honesty. And then when you're meeting that self, that honest self, you can't run from it. And then you start to feel how yucky it feels to not be in alignment with your truth. So gossiping is, yeah, but she's a bitch and he's this. And did you hear this? You're so out of alignment with your true self. The moment you start to realize, like, wow, I gossip about everyone and I like it. It feels good. Then all of a sudden, the more you do it, you're going to start catching yourself and going, ugh, I actually don't like it. I feel really creepy about myself later. Because we know the truth of ourselves. We know we're gossiping because we're jealous, because we feel threatened, or because we want people not to like that person. That's the truth. I don't care what people are doing, but if we're going to talk about it and spread it, it's our own shit. It's our own insecurity that's coming forward. And let's look at it. No, we don't have to beat ourselves up for it, but we definitely have to own it.
Incredible.
I'm so taken back.
So yeah, there's a lot more to my work than just mediumship. I usually say that I connect people who have passed, but I bring the dead parts of ourselves to light and to light. That's the mediumship that I really love, the living. We are living dead. And I love to ignite those dead parts in people and go, oh my God, like life doesn't have to suck as much. It just doesn't.
Well, I can tell you what you've done for me. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. I want to know who's
Just-
next because what
way to
dead
go,
parts
Deborah.
of
She's
me-
quitting school and she's just going to sit at home and cry for the next 6
I'm
days.
in goo. I'm okay.
She's gonna,
My
let me hear
goo
you
or
say
tears?
once.
Yeah.
I'm in goo.
I can't do anything. I'm
Wednesdays are now goo days.
Let me hear Audrey say she's in goo one time.
No.
All right, Deborah. You've saved
I'm
Jans.
also back in school. I'm also back in school, and I love to read and I love to learn. Love to learn. And I'm like, oh my God, I am so stupid. I don't know. I hear what my classmates are saying, and I'm like, what? Where did you get that? When I don't even remember reading that. What are you talking about? So I understand, like, yeah, it's new. It's new. So don't worry about a grade and just realize, like, I'm just doing this to learn. Who cares? Who cares? On your deathbed, you're not going to be like, damn, I wish
gotta see.
I did better sloughing of skin. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to worry. You're totally not going to worry. So who's next is, let's see. And I don't know if this is mediumship or whatever. I'm just looking at each of your names that I have written down to see who I'm drawn to. Which one of you are like rebuilding a house or something?
Jesus Christ.
Well, that could be any. So Denny
Well,
and
it's
I
two of
just
us.
added on to the house, and Jamie bought a new house that needs essentially rebuilt from the ground up. And then Braden's house has been being remodeled for the
construction for
past
2 years.
2 years. So
yeah,
it
but
could
your
be
house
any of
is
us.
more normal.
Yeah, mine's done.
We're the ones that went through the major renovation, and Jamie's at the forefront of
Yeah.
I haven't gotten
Got
it
it.
yet.
We got a whole lot of building going on. It's no fun.
Got it. I have to figure out which one. I almost think it's you, Amanda, which is you and Denny. But now, did you literally have like a whole addition put on?
Yes, and a whole addition to the garage. So 2 separate.
Okay,
additions.
and then do you know if there was a structural, like they didn't, because I'm not in construction, I don't know, but like did they not secure it or something? Is the roof where the addition was on? Is it weird or something going on there?
Or are you looking at the garage? So in the garage, we left part of the wall of our original garage up and essentially built a garage around it. So
But
there's like a half
what
wall
she could
that's
be
not.
talking about
Is
is
the
where
back.
the new roof meets
The porch.
Yes.
on the very front.
Yes.
You can
That's what I'm-
see you can see the difference. I see
Oh,
it.
okay.
Not everybody else
Yeah,
does.
so
but
something's going to come up there. I don't know if it's like water's going to collect or something's not quite structurally right there. You're not going to destroy your whole house or anything, but it's not
Just the
quite
basement, huh?
structurally right.
yeah, we had that.
We had the basement
We
flood
had some
because of
major-
the construction.
Yeah. At the back, that was the back
So
of that
that's
house.
where it needs to be fixed. That it's up, it's the roof, it's the top that needs to be fixed. What's
Text Ron right now.
Okay.
Let him know.
Come on over.
Yep.
Oh, that's scary.
And I'm hearing, I just don't know who's telling me yet, is that they're glad that you did decide to put in a bathroom. So were you not going to do a bathroom, or you were only going to do a half bath, or
So what's
feels like
funny?
We didn't do a bathroom. We were
we
going
were going to do a bathroom, and we went the other direction. We chose not to.
you weren't going to? Was it a half bath?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm feeling like they're saying the opposite, almost like it's good that you did the bathroom.
We didn't because we were afraid family members would poop in it during.
And it was going to be in our like next to our family room.
So we said,
That's probably a good choice, actually.
"Yep."
Yeah.
All of our bathrooms, we have 3 of them, and they are
Dispersely
distinctly
located.
away from everybody.
Away from living space.
So we thought, well, we better not put one in the middle of the living space. That might not be good.
I have one right off my kitchen, so it I always do think like not
Not the
good
right spot.
space, not the right spot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then which one of you had a friend who passed very suddenly, like unexpected? And I don't even know that you knew that they had passed. I feel like you found out about it later.
My uncle recently passed.
And you didn't know right away, correct?
Well, I found out, when the family found out a little bit a few days later. Probably not. Did you have a friend?
Not that I can think of. I don't have any friends.
No, it would have had to have been. Yeah. Okay. So he wasn't necessarily a friend, but I had an old coworker
That's what-
just die, and
You didn't know about it till months later, type of thing.
It wasn't. So it's funny. It wasn't months later. It was. I hadn't seen a Facebook post from this person for a little bit, and so I just went and searched his name, and there was a post from his son saying, whatever, miss you or love you or whatever, and it was literally within a few days of him dying, but I was the first to know because outside of the family, because I went and searched that. So I alerted other people that he had worked with because they in the same city, and they had no idea. And
did he have like a weird voice, like a funny voice,
he
or
did
like
have a funny voice?
I can't explain it, but it's like it's not gravelly, it's not raspy, but there's something funny about his voice.
Like he absolutely did.
Okay, and then he's kind of a pain in the ass energy.
Oh my God,
like a real scutch, like come on, dude, like you just literally want to there's no patience for him type of thing. So he's kind of coming across. He's coming across as almost well, because part of me is like, why am I hearing you? And you're like, he's like, well, you asked for anyone around them to show up, like kind of like annoying. So, but to be scutchy, but I don't think he had like a good sense of humor. He doesn't feel like a humorous, good sense of humor type of guy, but he's sort of like almost literal. Well, you asked who's around. And then who's the Ralph or the Robert or the big R?
God damn, his name was Ralph.
Okay.
You're lying.
So,
I swear to God, he didn't go by.
I wrote down my papers, Ralph. I don't know if you can see that.
Holy
I do see
shit.
it. His first name is Ralph. He goes by Sam. But his first, he
Oh
hated
my
the name
God.
Ralph.
Bit of a leap.
He went by the name Sam. That's his middle name.
Samantha.
And, you did it to me again, Deborah.
So,
I forgot.
I've never seen you act like that.
Well,
just
because-
what you just did.
I mean, it's
You
the
damn
bunny
near
under
jumped
the,
out of
the
your
bunny
seat,
under the
dude.
tree. I'm seeing a big R. When she said the name Ralph, I'm like, oh.
You jumped out of your
Well,
seat.
because she described him and then gave me his first fucking name. Sorry, but
And now that I know who you're talking about, the voice saying all of that makes sense.
everything. And he's not humorous,
No,
but he's very matter of fact, and he
would be like because he got demoted to Cam from GM, and then he put Sam the Cam in his emails because he was pissed off about it, so he could be pissed off at everybody else.
When I came to the company I work for, he was demoted, and I took his spot. And then we didn't have a lot of interaction again until I was promoted again, and then I became like his boss's boss. And I don't like to use that word, so don't think less of me, but I'm just trying to illustrate the situation. But we always had a decent relationship. It was never great. He was always a little. We were never going to hang out, but we always had a friendly relationship.
He's a scutch. He feels a little like I'm poking the bear.
Yeah.
And he was saying something else as you were talking. It's gonna. Who plays the guitar or something? Like, is he the musician, or who else is the one that plays the guitar?
He would not play a guitar. Not that I know of. He could, but I never knew it.
You might have to find out. I don't know if that's going to be through his son or not, because I kind of do think it is him. Or, like you mentioned, his son on the Facebook page saying he misses you. Like, so maybe ask the son or see if the son took up guitar. He doesn't strike me as a musically inclined type of guy, but he is giving me the reference of like him playing the guitar. If he told me he liked to listen to acoustic guitar, I'd be like, no, that's not what we're talking about. It's him playing. So he's illustrating somebody who actually plays it. So it's either him or his son.
Interesting. I made a note on that.
Yep. And okay, so for Braden, I'm hearing, and I don't know yet who it is. It might be, so Amanda, your mom's not passed, is she?
No.
So this feels like a grandmother to you, Braden. So Denny, is your mom passed? Okay, it's funny. She's showing up on the mom's side of the family. I think it's her. she's kind of like, she's a trip. Like she feels like she's funny. Like she's not trying to be funny, but she's a trip.
Mm-hmm.
She was
Like,
the one that was watching Brayden beat off.
stressful.
What's
Okay,
that?
she's
What's that?
stressful.
Sexual?
Stressful.
Stressful.
Okay, yes. Well, she would always make me call her sexy, dude. She would always make me call her sexy.
Imagine if I said to you, like, she has the hots for you or something.
No.
I
didn't hear what you meant. I didn't hear what you said.
Well, she would do that, though.
Yeah.
No, she feels stressful though. Like it feels like when she's like a little mini tornado that comes in the room.
Very much
and it's
so.
Not like angry, it's just more like, oh my God, the whole room has to like revolve around this energy. She's stressful. But she's sort of like telling you, like, all right, you've it's almost like you've been in goo so long. Let's go. It's time to get going.
She's telling me that?
Yeah, get your shit together,
Like,
dude.
And it's
Get
true.
going. Stay out of your mind. Stop woe is me, and just seriously, like, actually get your goals done.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, dude.
And like you have like a really good work ethic, and it's been kind of foggy lately. It's kind of been like, I show up when I need to. I'm not going the extra mile. And this is a little different than the goose state. Goose state's different. This is more like, yeah, I don't really, you're latching your thoughts to, you have a core belief going on, like, good guys finish last type of thing. And it's like, no, they don't. It's just, you're all of a sudden believing that. And so you're kind of acting out of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there's something in your energy field that doesn't promote you working. And like is almost like, no, come out with me, and no, come on, like let's relax more. And there's nothing wrong with relaxing at all, but I think you went too far in the other extreme of kind of being lax. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right now he's saying.
Right now he's mad at you.
Right now he's
Why are you
saying, God, I
calling me
hope my
out?"
boss doesn't listen to this podcast.
I don't think it's just your boss. It's like general. There's things that he wants to do and get up and do, and instead I'm just going to stay out here and clean my garage 27 times.
Yeah, like you have so many ideas, and you literally just have to start doing them, and then you get them done. But it's like, then all of a sudden you're like, boom, you'll bang it out in like a day.
That's brilliant.
So it's like, oh my God, where's he been? Like, get him back, like channel him again. Instead of it's not an inadequacy complex. It's more of there's someone else's voice, like another core belief that's telling you like, it doesn't matter anyway. It's not going to amount to anything, or I'm never really rewarded for my hard work anyway. So somewhere along the line that shifted, maybe in the last 3 years, that maybe 4, probably 2019. What went on then, right before COVID?
Holy shit.
That's when this started.
This is when you really realized your marriage was over.
Yeah, this is when you really started having some big marriage problems.
You tried cutting us off, if you remember correctly, in that time frame.
This is when her voice became your voice.
Totally. And now you've got to be like, listen, that's not true. Like, because I see you truly like such a workhorse and such a like, if you want to build a house in a day, you'll be like, no, seriously, I'll get it done. Everyone will see it. Like, no, you can't. No, you can't. And you're like, really? I fucking can. And then you do. That's your true nature.
Yeah.
So
Brayden.
Yep.
you need to just get him back. And that other voice that's in your head, like, just kick her out. Just kick her out. We don't have to make
Why'd
her
you say
bad.
her?
Well, you just mentioned the divorce.
I didn't. Everybody else wants to diagnose me. I'm talking to a professional. I don't need anybody else right now.
Well, it's between that and the military.
Do you remember what I said?
That's what
Do you remember what I said? I don't need everybody else to diagnose me right now. I just need the professional.
Yeah.
I help in.
Yeah, but you're listening to someone else's voice. It's not your own. And once you like, you're somebody I know what's going to happen. I want this email too, where all of a sudden it's going to be like, boom, Brayden's back. Yep, here I am. Boom. All right, I'm back to business. Like, you're not going to sit and think about this forever. You're just going to be like, you know what? Bam, I'm going to snap out of it. You're right. So that's how it's going to happen. Like overnight, boom, I'm done. I'm done hearing this tape of how much I didn't do enough and how much I can't. Because you think that your hard work is not seen, appreciated, or rewarded. So you're like, well, fuck it. Why should I do anything? So flip the script, because that's not true. and realize, no, I'm appreciated for the things I do. I work really hard and I'm acknowledged for them. And, change the dialogue within yourself and you'll see like, boom, I see a bunch of trains all of a sudden getting right back on the track and moving quickly. So you'll change it fast. And I do think you are going to sell your house.
Me?
Yeah. I do think there's some sort of sale of property that's going to be coming from this. Maybe next June, July, maybe next year, or maybe that's when you start to go like, even this house I'm done with. I want to move on. Yep. Incredible. I want that email. I want that email.
Incredible.
Not that I'm always right, but
Right. But she's pretty sure she's right on this one.
I want that email.
I'm like watching Braden over there. I'm reading his body language myself, and you're deep in his head right now.
Yeah, I want you to keep going.
Yeah, you could do this is going to sound really dumb, but the physical body, when our physical body is not clear channel, the energetic body is not a clear channel. So you could use a really good like colon cleanse and I don't know if you get constipated or not, but I feel like you need to completely do a whole clean out.
Who does?
Braden.
Braden does?
Braden.
I used to do it every 6 months.
Yeah, he
So
would drink. What is it? What do you drink?
Magnesium citrate.
There
Oh,
you go.
totally. Yeah. So start that again or do a vitamin C flush. Those are pretty good. So you need to get back on that path of like clearing the whole body and starting again.
Getting rid of negative toxins.
Probably what's going to put you on your track. Yep.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not expect this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Expect a
get
dose of realism.
You're gonna get an email in like 2 months.
I know it. I already can see it. So yeah. And you are very physical. Like you're always in your body, which is good. That's a good thing. But your body then, if you're always in your body, you really have to make sure your diet, nutrition, well, this is for everybody, but we're Americans and we have the worst diet, nutrition, myself included. But it's going to be really important to keep that, get somebody's, what do you call it? Expertise on cleanses and things. Maybe you should do one every 3 months versus 6, but get somebody else's who deals with that specifically to see like, yeah, how often does my body need this? You might want to look into like doing the fasting thing for a little while, just see what is best for your physical body, because that's how you're going to make changes easier. I could probably say that to all people, but not all people would actually listen to that. Like, Jamie, I'm not telling you to do these things because you're not going to do them. You have to, not right away. Not right away. Like you wouldn't start there because you're not wired to start there. You are wired to start with your emotional field, which means, okay, I'm going to bring that compassion. So we want to start with where each person's energy field is at, not give like a blanket prescription. Like, hey, all people need to clean out their colon to get a new start on life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yes, I say that to everyone? Yes, but not everyone's going to start.
No, but that's his first place to start. Too. That's always his go-to.
And that's why all these like fad diets and things fail, because you give a blanket prescription. Hey, everyone needs to start there, but you're not working with their actual energy field and their emotional field, their mental field. So you need to enter. It's like entering a highway at the right exit on the right entrance ramp versus giving everyone the same entrance ramp. It's going to create havoc. So we have to get on our path the way it works for our energy field.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yes. So is that good? How's that?
It was good.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Is that good?
I mean, not like, is that good? Tell me how good. I mean, like, is that?
No, we're saying that was
amazing.
fucking amazing.
Yeah, totally
Good.
Incredible.
Good.
I'm gonna go be in my goo phase now.
You are in your good phase.
Yeah, get lots of like snuggly things. You'll be more tactile. You'll like soft blankets. You'll
Soft
like good
dogs.
sex. Get good. Oh, totally. Get good aromatherapy in your house. Make your house smell good. Like whatever that means.
Yep, we've been doing
So-
that here.
Your aesthetics are important. Here's something interesting that everyone can pay attention to. Overhead lighting for a stressed nervous system is the worst. Any type, not just the fluorescent. Those are really the worst. But overhead lighting, when we're stressed out, no matter how dim and calm it is, it's energy that's coming down onto the top of our energy field, and it's pushing us down. So the best lighting in our houses for a calmer nervous system is lighting from lamps on a table or even on the floor. Anything lighting from the floor up lifts us. Anything head top down is pushing us down.
You know what's crazy, Deborah, is in this room edition that we did, I specifically had can lights added to the ceiling. And it's funny because just the opposite of what you said, I feel like has worked for me. Now, we're doing the candles. I light candles nearly every night, and a lot of them, just because, A, I want to have a bunch of seances, and B, it calms me, and I like the smell. But I take these can lights and I dim them all the way down, and believe it or not, it does calm me. It gives me a sense, but it's weird. When I was a kid, I would go to people's homes. And when I would see that somebody in their home, like when I would go to their house, these nicer homes always had those lights. And I always used to think to myself, you know, oh my God, these people are so cool. They have these cool lights in the ceiling and they're flat and they can dim them and whatever. And now that I was able to have some of my own, like I use that as kind of a de-stressor. And I think I think you're right overall, especially in theory. Everything's pushing you down. But in my case, my mind is strong enough, and I've said, hey, this is a positive for me.
Well, for you, you've always had this goal of success.
Achieving it.
Success looks like candle lights in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like everyone has an image in their head of what, especially like I feel like homes kind of embody it. Like what in your house makes you rich or poor. Everyone has like a vision of what is a successful house versus a non-successful house. And so when you like achieve having that, I mean, for me, one of the biggest things was a 2-story house. Like having 2 stories was the coolest thing. A flat house, a single story is boring. So having a 2-story house, I'm like, cool, look, we have stairs. Now I got to climb them 37 times a day.
At least 37 times before noon.
Yep. I grew up very poor with my mom, and a lot of things were broken all the time. So to me, my success is like everything works.
Yeah.
And when it does break, I get it fixed right away. Like
You have to just endure
success.
Brokenness.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. So and then toilet paper. I am that person that's got tons of toilet paper and paper towels in my garage because it's like, look at me. I'm so rich.
That's right. I am prepared. I am the same way. Deborah, it's the same way. When we go to Sam's Club, where my wife goes, we'll have, the package of 40.
There's so many rolls.
There's so much toilet paper. But same thing. I would go to other people's houses and I would see, oh, look, they have a stockpile of things. And it made me feel like now that when we do, I feel like I'm somebody because of it. And as stupid as that sounds. I feel safe. Yes.
I feel safe. Like everything's taken care of. Everything's taken care of. Yep. I know. It's just funny how our upbringing totally shapes and fits.
Any final questions for Deborah? We've kept her. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow. See, time flies.
And I didn't even get to half the stuff I have planned out to talk to you about because Amanda wouldn't shut the F up. She was constantly hijacked the entire time.
Well, I got to know something. So I'm supposed to be getting this new house. Am I getting this new house?
What's the house number on it?
5902.
5902. 11, 16, 7. Is that the house that needs a lot of work that everyone's talking about? I feel like you already have it though. So is it already like kind of known that you have it? It's just not literally transferred in?
Yeah, there were just some issues recently.
Yeah, I don't feel like I don't know what, almost like part of me is like, I don't know why you're asking the question because you do know the answer.
Well,
like you are getting.
So there was some financial issues that happened. And so we're trying to work it out before closing, but we're supposed to close.
Yeah, I feel like that'll all get worked out. And it's a good house for you. It's a number in numerology. Let me just make sure I do it again because I'm notorious for adding wrong. 9 and 2 is 11. 11 and 5 is 16. It's a 7. So, I have this thing with numerology and houses. Like I buy it. I'm not normally like that with most things. I drove our realtor crazy because I'd be like, let me see. Oh, that's a 4 house. Nope, we're not looking at it. And she's like, it literally has everything you want. I'm like, nope, it's a 4 house. I'm not doing it.
Not doing it. Back to work.
And that's when. So a 7 house is all about spirituality. It's all about self. It's all about rest. It's all about re-energizing. So it's a perfect house for you, even though it has work to be done. So you have to be really, basically your new house is goo also. So as you redo the house, you'll be redoing yourself and vice versa.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
All right. I have a question.
So do I.
We just did all of this work at our house. We're having someone come look at it tomorrow to give us an idea what we could sell it for. And
so maybe you guys are the ones selling the house. Hold on.
That's what, when you said you'll be
I wasn't
moving
going to
next
hijack
June,
the moment.
Yeah,
but
because I didn't know
when
if that
you
was
said
us
it,
or Braden.
Because we are considering, if we could get enough, Deborah, we've found the house we would most likely.
Yeah, I was
going to
ask you, what about this house number?
And
Check the house number.
321.
Yeah, what?
It wasn't 3.
What is it?
It's not 321.
All right. While they're looking that up, mine's 521.
521. Oh, that's an 8. 8 houses are the best. All about success, about financial well-being, about hard work, about
And you're a hard work.
Everything that he needs to be embracing right now.
Literally. Yep. 8 houses are amazing.
Deborah Hanlon, one of our favorites. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you soon.
All operators are busy at this time. Please hold.
Hello? This is not a drill.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Well, there you go. There's the conversation I was excited to share with you. Over 2 hours worth of conversation. I hope you found that as meaningful as we did. And as I've talked about a million times, go to deborahhanlon.com or go to Amazon or anywhere you can get books and find and read In the Presence of Proof. If some of that conversation didn't give you chills, I don't know what will. There are skeptics out there. I want to be clear, and I'm one of them. I'm a skeptical individual just by nature. And I can tell you with certainty, every time I've given Deborah like a chance, she hits it. Now, not everything's 100%, but there's enough that you see it. And I think energy is energy, right? So it's not meant to be exact. We're not talking to people. That's not even the right verbiage. I'm talking out of turn. This is something that Deborah should explain, and the 4th time we have her on the podcast, she will. So just suffice it to say, the hair stood up on end of my neck and arms and everything for a lot of this conversation. So thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So as promised, I want you to look for the midweek episode that will include the TGC SOD Family Fantasy Football League update. We'll also save some relationships with relationship advice with AMs and Jams, and then we'll talk about some things that we love and that we hate. But in the meantime, take yourself over to thankgodcancersavedourdivorce.com. There's a lot there. Send us your questions and love troubles. We'll answer them. God damn it, Chico lives.
Y'all crazy bitch.
RDIVORCE.
You gotta fight.
Well, we're finally updating this part of the outro. Find us at thankgodcancersavedourdivorce.com. Where else can they find us, Jamie?
You can search on Facebook for Thank God Cancer Saved Our Divorce. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok if you TGCSOD.
What's that stand for?
Thank God Cancer Saved Our Divorce.
TGCSOD.
Correct.
That's weird. That actually kind of lines up.
It does.
We'll take it. Thanks.